Well, 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 if it isn't Twitch chat. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Eastern Utah. Welcome back to the earliest Cretaceous period. Welcome back to Paleontologizing. Welcome back to a live dinosaur dig. It's good seeing you here. I hope you are all having an excellent day. And we are going to have a fun stream. So, I'm glad you could be here. Hopefully we won't be cut short today again. This is what's creeping up behind us at the moment. Big old thunderhead here. Hopefully this is just going to drift east of us, and maybe the very edge of it will clip us, but we'll see. But anyway, live broadcast, anything can happen. If it's your very first time, let me introduce myself real quick. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist. The whole point of these broadcasts is to show you what field paleontology is really like. Yeah. When I'm back home in my office for like 8 months out of the year, that's when we're going over new scientific papers, doing Q&A with the audience, interviewing other paleontologists remotely, doing 3D printing, and looking at bits of paleontological media and stuff, you know, movies, YouTube videos, stuff like that. Just, you know, trying to give you an inside peek into how paleontology really works from the perspective of the people who conduct research in this field. But it's summertime, and in summer, I'm out here doing field work. I'm with the Utah Geological Survey out here, which is a division of the Utah Department of Natural Resources. We've got a crew of paleontologists and volunteers and students, and yeah, one, if not more, brand new species of dinosaur right here in the earliest Cretaceous period in the Cedar Mountain Formation. So I'm really, hey, hamster rain, yeah. Funny how, you know, I turn up in the same spot every day when we're working here in the summer. I still have my headphones on here. Let me take those off. Yeah. There we go. That felt weird. We got some new crew members who showed up last night. Fan favorites Ethan Cowgill and Nick Oliver are here. And we lost Raheem yesterday. We had to go take him to the train station so he could go back to the UK. So we're down one and up two. And I guess this weekend we're going to have a zillion people here in camp. So that's going to be interesting. But for right now, the quarry's already pretty crowded. We did a bunch of overburden this morning, removing a bunch of the overlying rock to get down to the bone layer. So the quarry's going to look a bit different today. A bit. Yeah. Anywho, good to have everybody here. Hey, Verified, Cactus Jack, Freelancer, Claire. How are you doing, Claire? Hope you're having an excellent day. Cozy Kestrel. Howdy, howdy. Yeah. Cozy Kestrel, yesterday it wasn't weather that made us stop an hour early. It's that we had to go take a crew member over to the train station. And then, well, part of it, I guess, was weather, because we were also expecting big thunderstorms that afternoon, or that evening. And we got really lucky they missed us. It was funny, when we were driving out to Green River, and then coming back, we saw these huge gray clouds, and there's just giant plumes of dust, like hundreds of feet high across the valley. And we're like, oh shoot, are we driving right into that? Is that about to hit camp? And we got to camp, and it had just gone south of us. So we got really lucky. Yeah. This is how it's really supposed to be out here. The last few years have been abnormal when we've been out here in Doling's Bowl. It's been drier than usual, but this is supposed to be monsoon season in this part of the world. And so you get these just kind of scattered torrential thunderstorms, just dumping rain all over the place. That's how it's supposed to be. But Utah's in the middle of a big drought right now, and so monsoon season has been pretty weak for the last, I don't know, half decade. This is more normal, this kind of thing happening in the afternoons. So if I do have to close down this stream early, if we got to shut things down suddenly, please understand why. Because, yeah, that could contain a lot of rain. And lightning, of course. Yeah. Hey, Tactile 3D Picture. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah. I think this is probably good for farming Crimson Carnotaurus. Any, rain like that is generally a good thing. Yeah. Sky half beautiful, half concerning. There you go, verified. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, these storms can, especially later on in the afternoon when it's really hot, all of that heat rises up into the atmosphere and it can build a lot of clouds. A lot of evaporation happens. You can get these big, high-energy storms that show up pretty quickly. It's hard to tell which direction it's moving in. Dawn says it should drift to our east. It looks like, yeah, slowly it is moving that way. So I think, hopefully we're safe. But that'll be a nice dramatic backdrop for today's stream. And you know what? I'm not going to complain about these clouds either. This is lovely. We've been getting temperatures consistently around 105, 110. My thermometers. And today, well, what's it at right now? 93? Ooh. Positively chilly. Yeah. It must have just reset too, because it's saying min 93, max 93. Ugh. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, and Ed Simpson is here. Doc Simpson says north-south it's moving. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, hopefully that is a bit east of us. It'll just continue to scoot east. And we should be okay. Ed, we're excited to see you in a couple days. That'll be cool. Thank you again for your support, and thanks for showing up here in the chat. You don't have to do that. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you'll be pleased to know that, yeah, we're doing pretty well out here. You want to say hi to Chemo real quick? Ed's there in the chat.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
What's up, Ed?
Yeah.
He said he's coming out here, right?
On Friday, I think, yeah.
Friday? Oh,
yeah,
okay,
so you take off on what, Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay,
Sunday
yeah.
night.
Still have some overlap there. Nice.
Heck yeah. See you.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Yeah. And the quarry's looking a little crowded, but
Any word on that?
things are good.
We can continue over.
We've got more people showing up over the next few days. Fisher should be here on Friday afternoon. Jim gets here on Friday afternoon also, I think. Gotta find spots for them. And then this weekend, apparently we've got like 25 students showing up. They're gonna be here for just a couple days. But that'll be interesting. I don't think we'll be able to fit them in here. We'll have to find something else to do. Yeah. Anywho, good stuff. Oh, and Ed says, anything you want me to bring? Thank you, Claire, for reposting that. Let me ask Uncle Don. Don, we've got Ed in the chat right now. He says, is there anything that he should bring when he shows up on Friday, I think?
No, I don't think he needs to bring anything.
Cool, okay.
Colleen Farmer's coming in with 25 students.
Yeah, wow.
And we've got Fisher coming in, Amy. We're going to have a camp of roughly 40 people.
Oh, man.
So we're not going to ask you to get burritos for 40.
Fair, yeah.
So,
Cool.
No, I think we're good. If there's something we think of, but I think we got enough people coming in. Jim's coming in as well. So
Awesome.
just bring a smiling face.
Cool, yeah. Thanks, Don. And thanks, Ed. We appreciate it. We're excited to see you. Yeah. And there you go, freelancer. Yeah. Good stuff. Anyway, for anybody just joining us, here, let's see what Nick is doing over here. Just about to put a gypsona bandage over that little thing. Is that like a chunk of a bird or something? A little centrum. Nice. Yeah.
Critter like that. And it's,
So we're getting little bones right here in the upper layer. The deeper we go, we should get
nothing like them.
larger
that much
stuff
more
more
south.
frequently.
See, that's why I was so interested in this, because I'm like, this should be.
So here, let me,
Yeah.
if you don't mind if I show this Nick real quick, the viewers at home.
They could be for all we know.
This is how
But
we,
that one's just not diagnostic enough, unfortunately.
is it okay if I stand here?
Yeah, but we got way more, so.
Yeah, good.
There
Yeah,
we go.
yours would be the model for what's
Got some
going on
TP underneath.
Yeah, act as a separator.
Campania,
That's right.
Lake Campania, Colorado,
Nice.
Wyoming, that latitude.
Yeah.
Nick, you want to introduce yourself real quick to the folks who don't know you?
Sure.
Dig your hat, by the way.
I'm Nick, that's right. That's from here, 5 years ago. I got it from the gas station here. But yeah, I'm Nick Oliver. I work professionally in paleontological mitigation, and And then I'm also a master's geology student at San Diego State University.
Nice. Shout out SDSU.
That's right. And yeah, just out here.
Cool. This is your 4th year out here?
This is the 5th.
5th?
Yeah.
Nice, okay.
I believe so, right. 2,
It's
3,
my 5th
4,
too.
5. Yeah, then you and I came out here at the same time.
Okay,
I met you out here when you were
Yeah,
both
yeah.
our first years, yeah.
Yeah, that was before we both went to Wyoming in 2023. So yeah, that would have been 2022, our first year.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, Doling's Bowl veterans.
Time flies, huh?
Yep. Half a decade. Shoot.
We're just getting started.
And this site here, for anybody who needs a little intro, this is called Jim's Place. This particular quarry here in the ground. This valley is called Doling's Bowl, out in eastern Utah. This is sort of, I guess the nearest town that people may have heard of is Moab, Utah, which is, I think, about 15 miles away as the crow flies. Maybe about 50 miles as the crow drives. Yeah. Assuming that the crow is staying on paved roads with his or her vehicle. You got to go around Arches National Park to get to Moab. Arches National Park is just beyond. You can't see it from here on the horizon, but if you were to climb up to the top of that ridge, you'd be able to see Arches from the top of that ridge. These rocks are from the earliest Cretaceous period, about 142 million years old. So, yeah, very beginning of the Cretaceous, just after a bunch of dinosaurs go extinct at the end of the Jurassic. So this turns out to be a really important site for understanding kind of the rise and fall of different dinosaur groups and what's going on geographically at this time in the middle of the Mesozoic era. It's important stuff. Yeah. Cozy Kestrel says, as the crow drives is wild. Thanks. I think I coined that phrase, but I wouldn't be shocked if somebody else has thought of that independently, too. Anyhow. And we had a question there that seemed important. From Baboon with a Knife. What a great name. How does someone become a paleontologist? It's easy. You start doing paleontology.
It's so weird that we like lose.
Now, it's been a continual theme of discussion here on these streams and among my crewmates for the past week. Many of us have kind of found different ways into paleontology. So some of us went to school for that originally. Some of us knew that we wanted to be paleontologists when we were really little kids. And then for some people, they come to it later. You'll often hear, oh, to be a paleontologist, you should go to such and such a school and take these or those classes. And that stuff can be important. And those are kind of like the traditional routes into academic paleontology. But other people get into it through volunteering. There are people who contribute to paleontology. They publish papers. I would call them paleontologists, who don't have a formal degree. There are people who maybe they have another full-time job. They're a school teacher, or they're a plumber, or they're a banker, or something like that. In order to be able to do paleontology, just got to go out and do it. We've got people here on the crew who don't have any formal background in this field. We've got people who, Jameson down there is in high school right now, just going into his senior year. So, yeah. So kind of his baptism by fire this summer, learning how to dig dinosaurs with all of us. The point that I'm making is that if you're interested in doing paleontology, you should just do it. You don't have to be a paleontologist. It doesn't have to say paleontologist on your business cards to do this kind of work. There's lots of different fields around the world who could really use your help, potentially. All of us, except for 2 on this crew, are not getting paid. We're volunteering. We do have 2 state employees here who are, on the state payroll. They're getting paid to do this. But what's funny is they're not getting paid to do all the work. We do a lot of work after hours. It's not like we stop at 9 to 5. There's a lot of work to be done around camp, and we work on the weekends and everything else. My point is, this is less formal than you might imagine. And if you're interested in this kind of thing, you should get involved. See if there's a museum near you or a field crew that might want to take you on if you can go travel to a place where they're doing an excavation. There's lots of different ways to get involved with paleontology. You don't have to be a full-time paleontologist to do this kind of work. So I hope that makes sense. Mr. Rex, hey, thank you. Welcome, welcome. Yeah. But yeah. And Rainbow Vein says, what's a good way to find volunteer opportunities? That's the thing, is there's not like a place where you can look online. There's not a website that's like a clearinghouse for this sort of information. It's like the more you start to read about fossil science, the more you'll hear certain names again and again, and sometimes you reach out to those people and you ask if you can join a field crew, and they say yes. Well, actually, let's ask Jameson about that real quick, because he's got a cool perspective on this, given that he just did it. Jameson, how did you get involved with all this nonsense here?
So it was like late September, and I was like, I'm gonna email Jim Kirkland
Yeah.
and figure out some things about paleontology.
So you're just like asking him questions about the science?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't answer them, but he emailed my email to
I have a really
Don,
The Don forwarded it? Yeah.
and then he invited me out here.
Yeah, that's a good.
That's awesome, yeah. So, you know, gotta ask.
Zero experience.
Yeah, been on the job.
It was my first semester of junior year in high school.
Oh shoot, yeah.
And I just emailed them.
Nice.
And I got invited out here.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, James. Laura, how did you get involved with this?
I had been a big fan of Jim's for many years.
Yeah.
Who's not? And I went and spoke to Jim a few years ago when I was finally in the same place as him.
Nice.
And I
At a
was
conference
like,
or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, gushing. Oh my gosh, I love you so much, Jim, it's you! And then we spoke for ages, and I was like, can you just teach me everything you know? Like, everything about fieldwork, everything. He was like, yeah, for sure, I'm gonna hook you up with Don, go out in the fields.
Nice.
Like, yeah, and then we stayed in touch, and then I came out here, and now I'm here again.
Yeah.
Quite happy to be here.
Second year. It's great to have Laura back, so yeah. Pro at this point. Thanks, Laura.
You're very welcome.
Crystal, can I bug you for a second?
Sure.
How did you get involved with this whole debacle?
World of Warcraft.
Wait, really?
No joke.
Some people in the Twitch chat are going to be like, they're
Right now.
yeah.
So, being a good mother, I got my daughter when she was about 6 years old, started playing World of Warcraft. She now has access to a lot of the guilds still, and a lot of her friends were into paleontology, and you know, a lot of scientists actually play World of Warcraft. So I was like, hey, you think anybody could give me a internship over the summer? And she's like, I'll check in my alt group.
Very cool. Okay, wow. We've been working together for a week, and I did not know that was your origin story here. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, that's awesome.
World of Warcraft.
Oh, okay. There we go. Let's get a close up of that. Nice. I'm sure some people in the chat recognize that.
Yep.
Nice. Excellent.
Tell me at least one of them said for the Horde, please.
Let's see. There's a bit of a delay, but I'm sure somebody's going to say that. Yeah. There we go.
There we go.
Like clockwork. 3 different people.
Awesome.
Yeah. How to do it says, yep, I was typing it as she said that. Yeah. Good stuff. So yeah, awesome. So other people on the crew, they're in school for paleontology, or they're involved with the science in other ways. Some people are mitigation paleontologists like Nick and like Marcello. So yeah, there's lots of different ways to get involved with this kind of thing. The more you start to meet people who are in a field like paleontology, the more opportunities will open up to you, I guess. This is, like many things in life, a situation where it's not necessarily what you know, it's who you know. What you know can help you meet new people, obviously. But if you start doing things like, I don't know, following the scientific literature, reading papers, you know, stuff like that, you start to pick out different names. Sort of like Laura was saying, you know, she'd been aware of Jim Kirkland for a long time, and Papa Jim will be showing up on Friday. He probably won't be on stream that day, but we'll see. He's got to drive down from Salt Lake. We'll have him on Saturday. But yeah, Jim Kirkland discovered Utahraptor and Gastonia. He's been in a zillion different dinosaur documentaries and stuff, and he's named more dinosaurs, more new genera and species of dinosaur than almost anybody else alive. So Jim's kind of a living legend, and yeah. Sometimes if you reach out to somebody like that and say, hey, you know, could I join your field crew, or is there some way I can help out? You never know where that'll get you, you know? So yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. Kiba Cherkit, welcome to you too. I hope you're having a good day. Good to see you. Is that a rivalry, the Alliance versus the Horde? Is that what I'm picking up from the chat here? I don't know anything about World of Warcraft. Okay. Trying to pick things up through context clues. But yeah, okay, nice. 25 plus years of rivalry. Let's see what Crystal says about that, actually. Let's see. Here, Crystal, follow up. Got some people in the chat saying quite insistently for the Alliance. What's that about?
Oh. I quit. We're done. Yeah. Those are the guys who followed all the rules and you know, never got in trouble at recess.
Gotcha. So this
people.
is this lawful good versus chaotic good or something like that?
Well, I mean, it depends on the spin. There are different spins on it.
Yeah.
It's more of like humans are Alliance.
Okay.
And like orcs and things like that are.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's like.
Yeah.
Like humanoid type.
Yeah. Okay. Is it like the squares versus the cool kids?
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's what I've been picking up from this. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Both are problematic in their own way. Fair, you know. I feel like a lot of things in life are like that. Yeah. And freelancer, I'm afraid I don't have time for that. Shoot. I don't even have time for Facebook. Jim keeps telling me, oh, Danny, you gotta get on Facebook, you know? Missing out on so much. It's like, I don't have time for that kind of thing. Shoot. Back home, I stream 5 hours a day, 4 days a week. I've got research and travel and now all this leatherback turtle work and stuff like that. It's, yeah. You know, different strokes for different folks. Video games just aren't really my thing, and they never really have been, so that's fair, you know? The world is full of all different kinds of people. Humanity is a rich tapestry. And I'm just a different kind of fiber, I guess. And that's okay. Yeah. Does Jim have a nickname? It says Murph Swerf. Back in school, they used to call him Boston. Because Jim grew up in Massachusetts, near Boston. And then, I think not too long after he reached adulthood, he fled to the American Southwest. So he went to school in New Mexico, right? The School of Mines in New Mexico. And, yeah, we can have him tell you this story when he gets here in a few days. But so yeah, people used to call him Boston. Apparently he had a really thick Boston accent. Yeah. But, you know, we call him Jim or Papa Jim. But his actual, you know, his government name is James Ian Kirkland, I believe. Or sometimes I jokingly say James Tiberius Kirkland. Because Jim's also a big Star Trek fan and actually wrote a Star Trek novel at one point. So I guess that's one of our themes today is like nerdy things that people in paleontology are associated with. So yeah. Yeah. And Verified says, do you have any other socials besides Instagram? I don't think I've updated my Instagram. I don't think I've posted anything there for like 2 or 3 years now. But I'm on Blue Sky. That's my primary thing nowadays. It's fun. It's like Twitter, except better. It's like how Twitter used to be before the whole site fell apart. But yeah, if you're on Blue Sky, follow me there if you want to see my nonsense. But I posted a few things this morning. Oh, and I'm on iNaturalist as well. And I've been trying to log as many critters as I can while I'm out here. If you haven't heard of it, iNaturalist is it's a bunch of different things. It's part social network, I guess. But that's kind of a very small part of it. It's mostly an application where, here, I'll show you, where you can identify different critters. Here's iNaturalist. Yeah. So here, here, let's do grid, yeah. So here's some observations that I've done. If you see a plant or an animal or a fungus or whatever kind of organism you encounter, you take a picture of it, or sometimes a sound recording, and then you can upload that to the app and it'll help you identify it, figure out, sometimes down to the species or subspecies level, exactly what it is. And then if you choose to add location data to that, then researchers can actually use those data in their science. So it's kind of a citizen science app, I guess, or community science application. It's pretty darn cool. And I always recommend it to people who are, they have the capacity to be more interested and informed in the natural world, but they don't really have like a teacher or a mentor. Download iNaturalist. It's free. It's a lot of fun. I've heard people describe it as like Pokemon Go, except all the critters are actually real in the real world. It's a blast. I love iNaturalist. I'm up to, as you can see, 809 observations, 674 species. Yeah, there we go. I'm very proud of this. It keeps track of the different species that you found, so that number there on the right is the number of individuals that you've logged, number of different observations that you've logged. So my top one right now is leatherback sea turtle, because every one that I encountered back in Florida when I was there in May, I took pictures and then logged those to iNaturalist. And it's just a great way to learn about these different critters. And you never know who you'll meet through stuff like this too. So, yeah. There we go. Murph, hey, thank you for the continued support. Wonderful to see you as always, Murph. I hope you're doing well. And BirdNet, I've never heard of that back at Baymore. That's cool though. And there you go, Petrodactylus. Next time I go to Joshua Tree, I want to try out iNaturalist. I was kicking myself because on my last trip back through Southern California, I didn't stop and photograph a Joshua Tree. There were some on the way between St. George, Utah and the Bay Area where I live, and I was in too much of a hurry. I didn't stop because I should have nabbed a Joshua Tree picture and loaded that observation to iNaturalist. It's a regret of mine. Yeah. Oh, very cool, Becca Paintmore. Nice. I can't believe you've done this. Done what, Aurora Studios? What did I do? Yeah. You can this year, says Jamira. We'll see if I end up going there. I don't think there are any Joshua trees between Moab, Utah and San Francisco. I think I'd have to go way out of my way to go see one. But we'll see. I'll keep my eyes peeled on the drive back at the beginning of August. Oh, and that's very cool, Charlie's Dragon. 400 plus species total. Nice. Charlie's Dragon, you're becoming a big hitter on iNaturalist. That's awesome. Yeah. Birds of, there you go, freelancer. Yeah. Anyway, we'll go down to and see what's happening. But, oh, can't believe you didn't photograph one. I should have, Aurora Studios. I can't believe it either. Look at how chilly it is today. Holy cow. Only 93.7 in the shade. It's been well over 100 degrees all week. This is really nice to see, you know? Ah. All right. I'm going to switch out the water bottles. I've got ice in these too. least I did. It may have melted. Let's see. Ooh. Yeah, that all melted, but that's okay. It's still nice and chilly, which is good. Even chillier than this. 93.0. Temperature is falling. Yeah. And very cool, Petra. I would love to be able to go visit Joshua Tree. I've only driven nearby there. I've never actually been to the national park itself. But, yeah, cool stuff. I'm rereading a book that I started the last time I was out here in Utah for fieldwork called Desert Solitaire by Edward Abbey. It's a classic, and I've never read it until recently. It's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it, but it's kind of a celebration of just this part of the world and, you know, how there's great beauty in the harshness and desolation. And I just really like the author's writing style. It's a classic piece of literature for this part of the world, and I'd recommend it. Desert Solitaire by Edward Abbey. Thank you, Claire. Yeah, excellent. Yeah. And there's some of those are the ones that I saw, Rowan Studios, the ones near St. George. Yeah. And there you go, Drunky Kong. Yep. So yeah. Anyway, let's go walk around the quarry a little bit, see what's coming out, and maybe I'll put the camera down and do some digging.
Always doing these like morphometric analysis, like trying to understand.
Trying not to get caught on these guy lines. So this is the Jim's Place Quarry. So in here, we're still kind of trying to cut down through these upper layers of rock, so we're not finding many bones yet. But this is a site that was worked from about 2007 until about 2010, and they found literally hundreds of dinosaur bones in these rocks. Those have been collected and are now in the Utah Geological Survey laboratory and collection space. And many of these are going to be reposited. Well, all of them are going to go to the Natural History Museum of Utah in Salt Lake City, which is it's associated with the University of Utah. So all of the fossils that we're digging here are going to end up in a museum, a public museum. These don't belong to any one person. These fossils, because they're on federal public land, by law, they belong to we, the people of the United States. These are a public good. They're not to be bought or sold, auctioned off, nothing like that. These are not private property. These are public property. And we, as paleontologists and students and volunteers working with the Utah Geological Survey, we are stewards of this natural resource. So we're excavating these fossils for the purposes of science and because we enjoy doing this. We think we've got at least one, maybe two new species of iguanodont dinosaur here in these rocks. And every bone that we find could potentially teach us a little bit more about what these animals were like, who their closest relatives are, what their lifestyles were like, all this stuff. So that's why we're doing this. I hope that makes sense. Orion says, I like that museum. Me too. It's a good one. If you're ever in Salt Lake City, make sure you go visit the Natural History Museum.
He's putting out these YouTube videos now. It's gaining traction. He's like, oh, that's weird.
And your granddad is in that museum? Really? Is he a volunteer, Drunky Kong? Let's go look around.
He got a master's at BYU in sort of hot stuff. And then he went to get a PhD at Stony Brook. And then left that to get a PhD.
All right. How we going over here?
We're going alright.
Nice.
I had all this sand and just...
Yeah, the fill, alluvium.
It just like punches right through.
Yeah. Yeah, so the chat should know. This is not how it normally goes. This is almost like soil. So this was worked in a previous year. So this site has been sitting here since 2010 without anybody working it. So a bunch of this rock on the surface has been eroded away, and it's just kind of turned to mud here. So we've got to cut away a lot of this to be able to get down to the actual rock. That's where the bone is.
It's just sand.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just.
So we cut this bank way back today. You can see those vertical streaks where the rotary hammer was going down, cutting through the rock. So we're trying to get down to where the bone layer is, which should be containing all the bones. Not all, but most of them. We've got a few on the surface, like the one that Nick has got over there.
Not very, like, there's one.
Oh, there we go.
It is bone.
And here.
I just wanted to get
Yeah,
but
there's
yeah,
a little bit
it's
of
like
bone.
a generic bone lump.
Yeah.
There are some fragments of bone that came up, but it's
Just a bone pebble.
indeterminable.
Yeah.
It doesn't go down deep. You
Right.
can see if you like look really, if you look in here, you can see it stops
Right.
here, so it's not really worth,
Yep.
it's not gonna...
But it's a nice indicator that, like, at least we do have a tiny bit of bone in this upper layer, which is why I guess we're cutting through with hand tools and not at it with the jackhammer. Because, who knows, there could be something important up here.
But it was... The vertebra was kind of here.
Yeah.
So that's already kind of, what is it, inches, a few inches
Yeah.
above it.
Multiple
So,
centimeters.
thank you very much. Fabulous. Embracing the metric, I see.
Yes. Oh, we're scientists. We should be using metric.
So now just getting kind of this bit down,
Yeah.
we're going to hopefully have all the fabulous, well-preserved,
Right.
perfectly articulated bones.
Yep. This will be in future streams, but for now we've got this, which is okay. You know,
It's good for
you
the
got to
soul.
grind for the good stuff.
You don't want to be rewarded immediately.
Yeah.
It makes you a more resilient person.
I like that.
And you get more, and then when you find it after a couple days of just sweeping pebbles and
Yeah.
dust, you're like,
It's so much more rewarding. Yeah.
Exactly.
Nice. All right, I can walk on here because we don't have any bones exposed on the surface.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what's weird about this.
And Shark Geek, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. I hope you're having a good day.
Now, but I totally understand why if you find a complete skeleton, you want to be.
Let's see.
Your name should have presence
Let me
like the alternative.
cover some of these questions that folks have.
Especially if it doesn't have like a character on it. But, yeah, I don't know.
And Keep a Chair Cat says Australian accent. No, so Laura is, well, she goes to school at Cambridge, but she is Scottish and German. So it's interesting kind of in-between accent that she has. Not super hard to, not super easy to geolocate. And Big Cheese Slice says, dang, I want to do this for a living. Very cool. Yeah, it is tricky to make a living as a paleontologist. So I make my living through live streams, believe it or not. Like, streaming is literally how I pay the bills. And most of us here do not make our living as paleontologists. Although Henry here is an exception. Yeah.
Jeez,
Sorry.
it's all right. It's totally fine. Hi,
Yeah.
I'm Henry.
Yeah. Dr. Henry Sy. Yeah.
I make my living as a paleontologist.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
So
more academic route here. So talk about how you pay the bills.
Yeah, so I'm an assistant professor at Missouri State University. I'm actually with the biomedical science program within the School of Health Sciences.
Yeah.
So my getting my actual money-paying aspect of my job is to teach human anatomy and anatomy adjacent classes like embryology
Nice.
and so on to undergraduate and professional school students. So I teach
Gotcha.
human anatomy at the college level, but also at for OT student, occupational therapy, and
Okay.
physician's assistant students.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you've got like med students and physical therapy students and people like that too?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
used
yeah.
to teach medical students when I was a postdoc, but right now I teach students I teach college student and prepare them to be good medical students.
Gotcha.
Hopefully, phalanges crossed. Yeah.
Go, yeah. So that's I feel like when people in the general public hear about paleontologists, they're mostly hearing about the folks who are on the academic side, professors, museum professionals, curators, people like that.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what Henry does. So
But
it's nice to have that side of the
that's kind
story.
of interesting is
Yeah.
that the earliest paleontologists that ended up studying dinosaurs, like people like Gideon Mantell, Buckland, Owen.
They were physicians or or men of the cloth, like
many of them are either like medical professionals themselves or associated with like anatomy related things.
Sure, yeah.
So whenever I feel like that, geez, I really want to go be in the field, it was like, but we started as anatomists.
There you go. Yeah, good point. Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Henry.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. We'll go talk to either Marcello or Nick about the remediation side of paleontology.
And that's the frustrating part too. Is like it would be like a bunch of phylogenetic characters. And
I don't want to interrupt the conversation here. But so it's one way to make a living as a paleontologist is to be a professor or an assistant professor, to be on the academic side of things. But those jobs are scarce. They're often hard to get. And there are a lot of paleontologists. I wish Karen Poole were here. She could talk about this. She's also a professor, but she teaches at a medical school. And even though she's trained as a paleontologist and she publishes papers on fossil science, she's mostly teaching human anatomy to medical students and people like that. So there's actually a growing number of paleontologists who do that. And then there's paleontologists who work at museums. As curators or preparators or, museum scientists, people like that. There are paleontologists who, I guess the other big one would be remediation. So working for a company that hires paleontologists to go oversee construction sites. So when you've got the bulldozers rolling in, sometimes by law you have to make sure that if there's any fossils there, they're not being destroyed. Those fossils can be safely excavated and all that important scientific information can be saved. They're paleontologists, many of them do that for a living. And we've got two of those folks in the quarry right now. That's Marcello with the blue glasses and Nick with the yellow shirt. They both do remediation. Site monitoring, essentially. Yeah.
I think that's a note that a lot of people have.
Here, Marcello and Nick, can we have you say something real quick about remediation paleontology? What that's all about? Because I feel like that's... am I right to think that that's growing as a percentage of working paleontologists do monitoring? Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
Well, growing up, I had no idea that was even an option.
Right,
And
yeah.
then, I heard it through someone who knew someone.
Uh-huh.
And then, I mean, it's probably the primary way that you can actually still under the umbrella of pro-environmentalism, conservation, and scientific furtherment or progress. Yeah, so,
for sure, yeah.
I mean, I like it. It's a good gig.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah.
And it is relatively new. It hasn't been around as long as paleontology.
Of course,
especially at the scale that it is being endorsed now.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it is definitely getting bigger, more commonplace.
Uh-huh.
And it is important that it maintains the scale at which it's being done now.
Yeah, I feel like it's a way for especially younger paleontologists to make a living. I feel like remediation paleontology probably skews pretty young, right? You don't have a whole lot of middle-aged people who are doing this.
I mean, you have some. Most of the people I meet who are middle-aged, do it when they're young, go off, do something else for a little while, and then realize they need money, and then come back and do it. Whereas in me, I work for, I'm like a gun for hire. I work for 5 or 6 different mitigation companies.
Nice.
Because I'm currently in school, so pretty much wherever I can get hours in, I can. But it's one of the nice things now is that it seems like every year more and more companies pop up and more opportunities pop up, and especially in California, where
the regulatory environment is
it's
good for this kind of thing. Yeah.
It is good for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so there's plenty of work.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is the vast majority of your job is not actually digging up bones,
but just like watching an excavator, that sort of thing.
90% of my job is watching people dig holes.
Yeah.
But also, so there's like different aspects. There's some report writing involved, but also a big part of what I do is like surveys. So preliminary surveys for projects. So some construction company will put in a request to either the Bureau of Land Management for land that they want to lease.
Yeah.
They hire our company to go out to do surveys, and then we kind of assess based on the geology we see, and then also like superficial finds of potential fossil stuff.
Gotcha. So like, what's the potential to be able to find important fossils here?
And it's classified, so we have 5 being the most fossil, down to like 1 or 0 where there's no fossils, probably no chance of fossils.
Sure.
So a lot of that is surveying, which is actually a really fun and really neat part of the job. Is going out and hiking and looking for fossils. You get paid to do that, which is kind of crazy.
That's awesome.
And then, the other part is once that project starts, waiting for them to find stuff, which we do. When you're monitoring, most of the time you're just
waiting.
You're sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
So.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But when you do find stuff, it's cool. It is nice having other people dig for you for a while.
Yeah.
The unfortunate reality, though, is you only find things typically that are destroyed.
Right.
Or
because somebody's
damaged.
backed over it with a backhoe, or they
hit it with a bucket or a bulldozer.
Exactly. Yeah. Gotcha.
So, but yeah.
Yeah.
It can depend on the formations as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oftentimes I've had a lot of luck going through spoils, and like equivalent to the Green River Formation, and there are rocks that I can actually split open in order to find fossils, and so that way they'll be complete.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about them being destroyed. So it depends on the scale.
Sure.
Like, if you're talking about like vertebrates, they could be destroyed.
Yeah.
But if you're working with a small vertebrate, you could find a complete fish, you know, because it's only as long as my brush, and the bucket is so big that it's just a drop in the bucket. But,
literally speaking.
Yeah, literally speaking. But yeah, this mitigation was never talked about to the extent that it is now. And so it should be advertised more as a pathway in paleontology, because it will also connect you networking-wise.
Yeah.
But yeah, there should be some warnings, like it is basically blue-collar work. Like you are on construction sites. You are expected to stay in small towns for weeks at a time, so you will be away from home.
Yeah.
And you're going to be, you need to be familiar with your PPE. You know, helmets, steel-toe boots, gloves, rock hammers. You know, be prepared for long drives. And find camaraderie where you can.
Yeah.
So,
and clearly, I mean, this line of work it pays well enough that you could be out here for weeks at a time. You know, like, it gives you a certain degree of freedom, it sounds like, which I think is missing from a lot of careers.
Yeah, well, if you're gonna work for a month straight, and that work involves travel, then you deserve probably at least half a month of a break.
Nice.
You know, ask for 2 weeks on, ask for 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's another thing too, that this field, since it is relatively new, there does need to be better management of like how workers are treated, honestly. You know, a lot of people come with no fieldwork experience, and then they're thrown into these kinds of jobs where they're monitoring construction.
Right. And
so
you have to tell the construction workers what to do, and like sometimes they might resent that. And
and it's having some of that tact as well. Like maybe it's not the best time for you to tell a construction worker what to do, and stay out of the way. Don't think that, you know, they're gonna hear you over the sound of excavation. You know, find the right time. And concerns. So there's a lot that you need to learn from experience, but jobs can work. Mitigation work is way too hard. And people are away from home too long. There's a lot of, sometimes there's like no health benefits guaranteed with your jobs. There are a lot of temporary positions. It's kind of like
well, I mean, a lot of times you're probably a contractor, right? Or
you pretty much operate, even if you're an employee, you operate as if you're a contractor. Because construction is inconsistent, and also like it's project to project. You can have a project that lasts 2 weeks where they're like putting in a drainage of concrete that's 2 by 2. And then other solar projects that last 5 years.
Right.
And it's a very mobile like thing as far as like scheduling. You can work, you know, 60-hour weeks, and then the next week the project's over and you have nothing to do for a month. So It's not, unless you're really into like, it's good to make yourself useful, because if you're not just a person who wants to be in the field all the time, learn how to do like reports.
Yeah.
Learn like some of the laws and bylaws for like environmental stuff as it relates to paleo.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people who are just field monitors will monitor, and then projects up, and then you're sitting on your hands waiting for something to happen.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Just kind of the nature of the beast at the moment. I mean, I don't know how you, other than just having an extremely robust like backlog of projects that you need to do, it's kind of hard to avoid that kind of culture.
Sure. So, kind of a feast or famine sort of thing, oftentimes.
A lot of people get out of it. I couldn't handle the inconsistency anymore.
Yeah.
It is weird. I'll work Palm Springs one weekend, and they'll be like, "Can we send you to Wyoming next weekend? How about Arizona the weekend after that?" And you're just like, sometimes you wake up, you have no idea where you are.
Yeah.
Gotta make hay while the sun shines.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we need to get a break.
Yeah.
Be supported by our companies.
Interesting. I didn't realize it was such a new thing too. That makes a lot of sense, I suppose. Yeah.
I don't know if it's actually interesting for your audience, but it's also like a very U.S. specific thing.
Right, so I don't think you really have that much in the UK, right?
It doesn't exist at all. So in the UK and Europe, you have mitigation archaeology, but not mitigation paleontology.
Gotcha.
Which
you don't really have any like countrywide laws to protect fossils and things like that, right?
Really not. It's really U.S. Like it's something like paleontology is part of infrastructure and part of something that there's laws about is really ahead in the U.S. I don't know about Canada. Maybe it's the same there.
Interesting.
But
in Canada, all vertebrate fossils are protected under federal law. But I don't know if that means that they have to have monitors and sites or anything. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah. You have all this stuff for kind of historic architecture and different archaeological things in the UK and Europe. But yeah, there's several mitigation archaeology firms and companies that go around the UK, that go around Germany, and I presume the rest of Europe.
Yeah.
But nothing for paleontology.
Interesting. I appreciate the perspective. Thank you. Yeah.
Very welcome.
Yeah. And I also appreciate Neverwinter's perspective there in the chat. He says, I wish remediation paleontology was a thing when I graduated. I definitely would have tried it. Yeah. I don't think, maybe you didn't catch it, because there was some crosstalk there, but Nick Oliver was saying a lot of this is because of PRPA, PRPA, the Paleontological Resource Protection Act. And I think that was, he said he thought it was about 2009, that sounds right. But it was a federal law that was passed. And it's funny, the Society of Vertebrate Paleontology, SVP, I think was actually part of like drafting this legislature. Like I think they had an advisory role here. But anyway, that was an important thing for like having laws about if there's fossils on federal land that belongs to we, the people of the United States as a whole, administered through the federal government. These fossils, if they're of a certain type or certain scientific importance, they need to be protected. I think that was the first time that there really were like, there was a really coherent laws around that. And so remediology, paleomonitoring may have kind of grown up around that. So that would be why it's such a new kind of area, a new field, so to speak. Yeah, graduated in 95, gotcha, Neverwinter, yeah. And Agent Godiva says, are people digging in different places today? A little bit, yeah. So we opened up the quarry a little bit in a few places. We removed some more of the overburden, the overlying rock. So we've got some new places to dig. Some of us are shifted around a little bit, so yeah, there's been a little bit of shifting going on. That's often how it goes. Yeah, we'll get back into the quarry in just a minute, but let me get some water. Temperature's going back up. 100 in the shade right now. Yeah. But this is much cooler than it has been, so. You count those little blessings as they arise. And Gorilius, you think I'm dressed like Indiana Jones? I don't know. I've got a military surplus shirt and shorts and a sun helmet. I don't think that's how Indiana Jones dresses. Hasn't he got like a leather bomber jacket and a fedora? Long pants? Not to go all, well, actually, on you, but,
And it's worked for us.
I don't know. If anything, I think a little bit more like Indiana Jones. Long pants. Not quite a fedora, but a cowboy. Yeah. Boy, that wind.
Yeah.
So far, the shade tarps are holding up really well.
It is.
Yeah. Well done, everybody. Nice.
Kind of loud under here.
Yeah. At least it's shady. We love being shady around here. And let's see. And Sketchy Tracks asks, what are the odds of digging in a spot while a big fossil is just a few meters from it? Just about 100%.
If there was a big fossil, you are digging a few meters away.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
I mean, what we're gonna try and do is, like all of this shelf that you see here, over the next 2 weeks, we'll be digging through all of this. And we'll probably have to take this little cliff right here. We'll probably have to push that back even further. Bring the jackhammers out and the rotary hammers. Cut this down, so... There are, without a doubt, a bunch of big, interesting fossils right underneath my boots right now. Just, maybe half a meter down, maybe 1 meter down. It's just everywhere. This whole valley floor here is just chock full of dinosaur fossils. That area right over there, that's funny where we've had a whole lot of rain over the past few nights, and here, I'll walk you a little bit closer to show you. Let me throw this out a bit. That could be important for later. I'll see how close I can get to this without the signal cutting out. My Wi-Fi router is not omnipotent. But here we go. See that kind of bluish pile of talus right there? This over here is called Ethan's Wash. So this is where our crew was digging for the past 4 years. Right over here. Yeah, I think I can get a little bit closer without the signal cutting out. So let's try it. I thought we'd be working over here this year, and then the decision was made we'd be moving on to Jim's site instead, returning to that historic quarry. And oh man, you can tell why this was once called Ethan's bathtub. Look at that. So this is our quarry where you're digging up iguanodont bones. That's water down there. Doesn't look like water, it looks more like chocolate milk, but that is definitely water. So this was my home for 3 weeks out of the year for the past 4 years, working in here. Yeah, that was my little spot where I was digging. Yeah. But the bones started to become less and less frequent over here, and so Jim and Don decided we'd find good stuff there. So yeah. But yeah, this is why this was named Ethan's bathtub, is when it rained. So that's where I used to keep the satellite dish and the solar panels, right up there on that little ridge here. Let's walk over there. Now, you can see this was filled up with water and has since dried up here. Here's our rebar spikes that are used for mapping. So we've got a tag on this with coordinates. But yeah, it was right up here where we were last summer. This is where I'd set up the satellite dish. I think this is my old crummy chisel. That was garbage then, and it's worse garbage now. Yeesh. Yeah. At some point, years in the future, our crew or another crew will move back to this place because it will continue to yield tons of iguanodont fossils. But for right now, we thought our time would be better spent over there. So yeah. And thank you, Grumpy SD, for the subscription. I really appreciate the support. Thank you, thank you. This is literally how I make my living. Thank you for helping make that possible. Yeah, Ethan's bathtub. Shoot. So this is an historic spot here because not only is this where we've been digging up our new iguanodont, or iguanodonts, might be multiple species, for the past 4 years, but just above this layer, you know, before this was a big hole, it was a smaller hole, more shallow, and that is where Mierosaurus is from, as I recall. A big plant-eating dinosaur, our big sauropod from this area, came from right here. So they'd excavated this big, you know, long-necked plant-eating dinosaur, and then as they're removing those jackets and digging down deeper, trenching underneath, they started finding iguanodont bones, and then that turned into this quarry for the past 4 years. So, yeah, good stuff. And how deep is that hole? Asks Newfie Nate. I would say about, well, here. I'm trying not to lose the signal as I descend down into it. We want to have a straight line of sight line to the satellite dish and the router. But this is about...
ontogeny.
Oh, and we lost you? Okay. See, this is... There we go. Are we back? We're back. Okay. Yeah. Went a little bit too deep into there. But there's Ethan's wash, aka Ethan's bathtub. You can see why it's called Ethan's bathtub. And yeah, it's funny. I'm nostalgic for this, even though we're just working here. You over here is to show you that this whole valley is just full of potential sites like this. There have been at least 2 brand new dinosaurs published from just here. Mierosaurus was there. Yurgavuchia, I think, was just over here. Theropod dinosaur, a dromaeosaur like velociraptor, but much older. It's from right over there. We've got new ankylosaurs and new iguanodontians coming out left and right over here. This whole valley here, what we call Doling's Bowl, is just full of sites like this. There's spots right over by camp where you've got little bone fragments coming out that indicate that there are bones just under the surface. It's this is a pretty cool place, you know? When Jim gets here, we'll have him say the line. Say the line, Jim! You know, you could have 100 crews working here for 100 years and you still wouldn't have found 1/100th of all the bones that are in this valley. Stuff like that. So yeah. Yeah. And Random XP says, how was this site first identified as a potential source? Well, Don and Jim and I think Scott Madsen, maybe, were out here prospecting one day. And Jim will tell you the story when he gets here in a few days. But yeah, Jim had long suspected that this valley was not actually Jurassic, not Morrison Formation. He thought it's probably Cedar Mountain Formation, earliest Cretaceous. So he came out here to ground truth that, and they started walking around looking at stuff and started finding bone here left and right. And the weird thing is, I guess they had walked along the rim of the valley and up and down these cliffs multiple times. Didn't really find much of anything. Normally, when you're out prospecting for fossils, you go to, you know, fastest erosion happening. So a hillside, you know, the side of a canyon, in a gully, on the valley floor. Stuff just coming out all over the place. So they started finding things and dug in a little bit, and yeah, it's been 20 years now, and just keep finding more stuff. The stuff is here. And Emily says it looks great out there today. It's a really nice day. Much cooler than it has been. Yeah. So yeah, and thank you Mythic Mexican for the resubscription. Appreciate that. Thank you for the support. Yeah. And yeah, Claire's got a lovely little summary of how we find new sites. Well done, Claire. Excellent. Yeah. Anywho. And thank you, Hogan, for the 100 bits. Lovely. Do we have a hype train going here? Nice. And Murph says, any idea how many individuals pulled over the years? So how many individual dinosaurs collected? That's hard to say because the bones are all scattered. So we don't really have a good sense for how many individual dinosaurs we've collected bones from here. But it would be in the dozens at least. Yeah. If not the hundreds. Again, just bits and pieces from each individual probably. What this was at the time was like a big kind of swampy, marshy area. And so you'd have dinosaurs doing their thing, living and dying in this like lowland environment. Really wet and swampy. And then the carcasses would just kind of lie there on the surface for a long time and get pulled apart by scavengers and that kind of thing. We've got an illustration of that in this book here that I can show you. There we go. Highly recommend this book if you want to learn about the work that we're doing here. This just came out last year. Cutting edge stuff. Beautiful book. Can't stop talking about how good it is. Here we go. So there's that long neck dinosaur, Mierosaurus, that sauropod, who came from right over there, right above Ethan's bathtub. We have evidence that this critter got stuck in the mud. That must have been a lousy way to die. There's little Yurgavuchia there, fighting over a turtle. And we've got some iguanodonts and a dead ankylosaur with some crocs, pulling it apart and eating it. This is the kind of environment we're talking about here. So lowland, kind of, as Jim has described it before, a boggy fern fen. So just like a fern swamp. Yeah. All kinds of different dinosaurs and other critters living here. And in the time since then, a lot has happened. If you could like set up a GoPro, go back in time 142 million years ago, set up a GoPro here, and somehow have it record for hundreds of millions of years until the present, you'd see massive changes happening in this environment. Yeah, it would have started off as this kind of swampy, boggy fern fen, like Jim said, 142 million years ago. And then you would have had massive rivers sweep through this area. It would have, you know, dried up, it would have been forested for a while, would have returned to swamp, had a bunch of stuff like that happening. Eventually you would have had an ocean come and cover this land. And we actually have evidence of that in those yellowish hills. Not at the horizon, but just underneath it. See those yellowy, browny hills? Those are part of the Mancos Shale. I think that's the Juana Lopez member out there of the Mancos. So that represents an ocean bottom environment. So there was an inland sea that flooded the interior of North America for a while. And then, yeah, a lot of other stuff happened since then. But more recently, the center of North America was pushed up. So this area went from a lowland environment to a highland. Now we're part of the Colorado Plateau. So I don't know what the elevation here is. Somebody can look up the elevation for Moab, Utah. That would be helpful information. What's the elevation of Moab? But yeah, we are no longer close to sea level here. We are well above it. And in that time, you know, as the land was pushed up, you know, a lot of changes happening on the surface. And nowadays it's a desert. It's gone from what was once a depositional environment, where rock was being laid down, being deposited, to an erosional environment. Now the rock is being eroded away. You know, stuff isn't really getting buried here anymore. This is not a place to become a fossil. This is a place where you find fossils being exposed by erosion. Does that make sense? And 1,227 meters. Shoot, Moab is at like 6,000 feet? Is that right? No, 4,025 feet. That sounds right. I miscalculated. Yeah. So yeah, we're probably a little bit higher than Moab here, because Moab is down by the Colorado River. We're higher than that. So we're probably, let's see, 4,000. We're probably at like 4,500 feet here. Something like that. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Yeah. Here, I should join in. Everybody's typing it into the chat. There we go. I'm helping. Yeah. Anyhow. And thank you, the Etienne, for contributing too. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Seeing if I missed any questions here. And Crimson asks, would any predators be found in that mud? I bet a Stachysauropod would be a tempting buffet. That's the weird thing with that Mirasaurus, is I don't think they have evidence of scavenging there. So like, all the critters who should have been there eating that critter maybe weren't? I don't know what happened. Yeah. It's kind of strange. And an interesting, Dr. Tara. Earlier this year, Turriosaur teeth were found in the Morrison Formation. Is it like an Eotyrannosaur like Tannicalagrius, where they died out? It could be. It could very well be. That'll be nice to talk to Jim about. Yeah. Jim is... he loves to talk about dinosaur paleobiogeography. You know, when different groups of dinosaurs show up in different areas. And why? Where did they come from, you know? He suspects that those Turriosaurs were marching in from Europe. Marching in, you know, wandering in, whatever. And that's actually in the title of the paper describing Mirasaurus, which I have here, and I can show it to you. Let's get that up. Oh, it's getting hotter. 103. Let's see. Clipboard. There we go. Trying to do this one-handed is always a challenge as I hold the camera. Luckily, I only have to unzip this once during a stream. Almost there. There we go. The zipper always sticks. There we go. Here's the paper in the journal Scientific Reports. Descendants of the Jurassic Turriosaurs from Iberia, that's Spain and Portugal, found refuge in the early Cretaceous of western USA. So there's Jim, as one of the authors on the paper, and there's Dawn, right there. And this was published in 2017. Wow. Yeah. So I bet you we'll have a map here somewhere. Or maybe not. Okay, yeah. Anyhow. Back home, when I'm doing streams from my office, we're looking at scientific papers like this all the time in an electronic format. But I thought I'd print a few of these and bring them out here just for discussions like this one. So when we as scientists are, you know, doing fieldwork like this, collecting these fossils, the end result of that is a paper like this. This is the goal. So all of these excavations that we're doing, this is not just to like, oh, put this in a museum, put it on display for the public to enjoy. That's lovely to do, and we try and do that. But this is really the currency of science, is scientific publications, papers like this. So this iguanodont dinosaur that we're excavating here, sorry, I thought I lost a page for a second. The dinosaur that we're trying to excavate here, we're hoping to find maybe some of the important skull bones and stuff like that. That will make our paper so much better if we can do that. Karen Poole is currently leading the charge on this. Dr. Karen Poole is a paleontologist at the, oh goodness, is it the New York Institute of Technology in Jonesboro, Arkansas? Is that correct? I forget where Karen works. The name is kind of, it's not the easiest to remember. It's a bit convoluted. But anyway, she's an expert on some of these early iguanodont dinosaurs, especially on their phylogeny, so their evolutionary relationships. What do their family trees look like? How do we figure that out? That's what Karen's all about. She is the one who's currently working on that paper, and if we could find her some skull bones during this summer's work, that would be superb. It would make the paper even better. But yeah, I'm oversimplifying here, but you know, that's often how these things work. Put this back and answer this question. These are copies, sketchy tracks, yes. And how much do we know about dinosaur parenting, attentiveness, or behavior? Great question, Akira Eclipse. We don't know very much for the most part, but we do have a few kind of tantalizing glimpses into dinosaur parenting prowess or lack thereof. Back in the early days of dinosaur, dinosaur workers kind of thought, you know, most Mesozoic dinosaurs probably didn't take care of their young. They're like a lot of modern reptiles, you know, like turtles or like some crocs or like lizards or snakes. They'll lay their eggs in a spot and then they'll just leave. And then the babies hatch and go off and do their own thing. Not really any parental care to speak of. That was kind of the assumption for a long time. Oh, dinosaurs are reptiles, people thought. So, you know, they must behave just like modern reptiles. That was the assumption, and it turned out to be incorrect in at least a few cases. While we don't know whether most dinosaurs exhibited parental care, we have been able to figure it out for a few different dinosaurs. And so I don't want to say, oh, dinosaurs definitely cared for their young, because we only have a few examples, and I can't say this about all dinosaurs. But we have maybe the best evidence in a dinosaur called Maiasaura, which is a duck-billed dinosaur from Montana. It's actually the state fossil of Montana now, too. So Maiasaura, the name means good mother lizard, and yeah. In earthen nests that they dug out of the ground, and then a few bits of, one of them is that the babies, their limbs weren't fully developed when they hatched, so they were like altricial birds who, they're born kind of helpless and they need parental care, they need their parents to come bring them food. Baby Maiasaura were the same way. Also, the eggshell found in the nests was crushed, showing that the babies stayed in the nest for a long time and kind of trampled their own eggs after they hatched out. So unlike other animals where they hatch out and you have like nearly intact eggs left there, it's just like the top is broken off as they push through. No, these critters were staying in the nest for a long time, being fed by their parents. So that's a duck-billed dinosaur, a plant eater. We don't have a great deal of evidence for meat-eating dinosaurs taking care of their young. We don't have evidence either way. But I would not be surprised if in the next decade we find extensive evidence of theropod dinosaurs exhibiting lots of parental care too. Because that's, going back to the original assumption about dinosaurs, oh, they're like reptiles. They must have been just like lizards, so they don't really take care of their babies. Well, in the decades since then, we've realized that birds are actually a kind of dinosaur. And birds exhibit varying degrees of parental care, but for the most part, they're very attentive parents. Birds take care of their young, for the most part. And so, our assumption should not be, oh, dinosaurs are reptiles, they didn't take care of their young. We now recognize that birds are reptiles too, because they're a kind of dinosaur. And so our framework for thinking about this has changed a lot, where, we would no longer be surprised at all to find evidence of parental care in different dinosaurs. But yeah, for the most part, we still don't have that much information. But any little clue that we can find can help us make inferences about this, come up with better testable hypotheses. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. Yeah. And I wish the glare wasn't so bad with my glasses on. I could read the chat with it, but yeah. Oh no, different animals are different, says Catlock. Yes, Cat Loki, you bet. Life is a rich tapestry. It's not just human beings. Lots of different critters also do different things. And Murph says both birds and crocs are pretty good parents, so I think that would tend to their young with exceptions. That might make sense, Murph, yeah. Yeah, certain species of crocodilian are very attentive parents. Yeah, like, I think alligators and, members of Alligatoridae in particular, the American and I think Chinese alligators, and some caiman species too, they exhibit a lot of parental care. So like when the young are hatching out of their eggs, they'll make a chirping noise, and I wish I could imitate it well. I can't, but it's like like that. And the parents, I think usually the mother will hear this. And I think it might only be the mothers, but I'm not sure. It might vary species to species. So mom and guard the nest as the babies are hatching out. She'll also guard the nest beforehand and make sure nobody's eaten her eggs out nearby, and scare off any predators. And then sometimes there's babies who have trouble getting out of their eggs, and mom will actually come over and pick up the eggs in her toothy mouth, and kind of roll the eggs around and help break through that membrane and open up the eggshell so the babies can escape. And then sometimes she'll actually carry them in her mouth from the nest down to the water, where the babies will start doing their thing, swimming around, eating bugs and tadpoles and little fishes and stuff like that. So yeah, crocodilians today do exhibit a fair degree of parental care. But it's limited in the sense that I think those parental instincts wear off after a few weeks, maybe. So the babies might want to hightail it out of there before mom decides that they look tasty. At least that's what I've always read, is that it's like those mommy hormones kind of wear off after a little while. Yeah. But there are lots of examples of crocodilians taking care of the little babies, at least for a while, like gharials, the slender-snouted fish-eating crocodiles in India and surrounding countries. There's lots of pictures of little babies riding around on the adults' backs. And I don't know if that's mom or dad that they're riding on, or just an adult gharial who might be unrelated in that environment. But that's always cool to see. So if you're ever bored, look up pictures of baby gharials, Gharial, on the backs of the adults. It's very cute to see. Yeah. But yeah. And Jen Alex says, I guess the number of eggs per nest gives an idea about parental care. Not necessarily, because the number of eggs per nest, it gets tricky. Because, well, here, I'll give you an example after I drink some water. But modern birds kind of complicate things a bit. So when you think of a bird's nest, you probably think of just a little structure maybe about the size of your hand, and and it's made of sticks and stuff woven together. And there's 2 or maybe 3 little eggs in there, maybe little robin eggs, bright blue. That's what you probably think of when you think of a bird's nest. But not all birds do that. Ostriches and cassowaries and emus and other ratites like that, they do something that's a bit more, well, it's different. They have a lot more eggs in the nest. And you might look at an ostrich nest, which is laid on the ground. There can be like a dozen eggs or more in there. And ostriches lay pretty big eggs. The largest egg of any living bird. So like, how in the world is she doing that? You know, she's got 12 eggs that she laid, and each one is like the size of a grapefruit or bigger. And no, that's not actually how it works. You're not thinking of it correctly. The way that it works is, Dad is the one who is looking after the eggs. So what will happen is a male ostrich will go and find a good spot to build a nest, and he'll be very careful building this little nest, and then he'll start going and showing off to different females. He'll be like, hey, look at me, I'd be a good dad. Look at my nest, look at how good a dad I am. And they'll go over there, and they'll kind of like look him over. Would he be a good dad? I don't know. Let's look at his nest. Let's look at him dance for us. And then if he impresses them, different females will mate with him and then lay their eggs in his nest. And then they will leave. So one father ostrich, or emu, or cassowary, or rhea, or tinamou, he can mate with a whole bunch of different females, and then they all lay their eggs in his nest. And then he is just single dad from there on out. So he is the sole parent involved in the children's lives. So it's, if you ever see an ostrich walking around and there's a bunch of baby ostriches following, that's Dad, and those are his babies. And all of his lady friends are elsewhere. That's how it goes. So if you find a dinosaur nest in the fossil record, and there's a bunch of eggs in it, that could be one male who built that nest and is taking care of the babies, and there's a bunch of different mothers. So since ratites, those are the ostriches, emus, cassowaries, rheas, and tinamou birds, since all of them are what we call paleonates, they're very early, like early branching among modern birds, they are in some ways maybe our best analog for what Mesozoic dinosaurs would have been like. These are the quote-unquote most primitive of birds, so maybe that means they're the closest to what different dinosaurs during the Mesozoic may have been like. Which has some intriguing implications, because if you've ever seen those fossils of oviraptors on top of nests from Mongolia, there'd be like an oviraptor dinosaur perched on top of a nest, just buried there with eggs going around in a little circle, sort of like a hen laying on top of her eggs. There's a really famous specimen that's been nicknamed the Big Mama oviraptor. If this idea about ratites actually carries over, maybe that's Big Papa oviraptor, Maybe that's Dad and not Mom, preserved on top of that nest. It would make a lot of sense, but we don't really know. Yeah. Anywho, yeah. And there you go, Alexander. Yeah, I would use early diverging or basal. Even basal has its problems. But yeah, for the general public, I will use the word primitive with heavy quotation marks, because I feel like it gets the idea across, even if there is some baggage there. But yeah. Anywho, yeah. Yeah. And Jen, Alex, you're welcome. Thanks for the question. And can we tell the sex of fossils? We almost never can, Akira Eclipse. That's especially a problem with dinosaurs. They don't seem to have differences between male and female in their skeletons. Or if they do, they're much too subtle for us to be able to pick up on. So, be able to do this. It's been suggested that female medullary bone that they lay down, like a special layer of bone, right before they lay their eggs, there would be like bone laid down in the medullary cavity think of it like a temporary storage area before that calcium gets taken to make the eggshell. So if you find that special layer of bone, then it means, oh, well, she must be female, and she's about to lay eggs when she died. But that's also disputed. My undergrad advisor, Dave Verricchio, back at Montana State, he doesn't necessarily buy that idea. He's like, well, we don't really see that in modern birds in the same way that we see it in dinosaurs. So that medullary bone that's been reported might just be like osteoporosis. It could be disease. It could be any number of things. It might not necessarily be an indicator that she was female and she was gravid, pregnant, about to lay eggs. So yeah, we might not have any real way to tell if a dinosaur fossil was male or female. At least not yet. I have a fun off-the-wall hypothesis that I don't really suspect is true, but it's fun to think about. And it's that, well, maybe there weren't any male dinosaurs, Maybe they all just did parthenogenesis, like certain birds can do today, like California condors. Maybe dinosaurs were all unisex, That's an interesting scientific hypothesis because it's like, well, it's testable, I guess. If we ever found evidence of any male dinosaurs, then that hypothesis would be neatly falsified. And it hasn't been yet. I don't think it's true. I suspect that dinosaurs are like most vertebrate animals where there are males and females and sometimes some in-betweens and stuff. Again, life being a rich tapestry full of nuance and gray areas. But, yeah, maybe there were no male dinosaurs. Maybe sexual dimorphism wasn't a thing for dinosaurs. Who knows, It's an intriguing but off-the-wall idea. Yeah. Yeah. And Marco Torres says, somewhere says Deinonychus females were bigger than Deinonychus males, but maybe that is 100% a guess. Yeah, we do not know that for Deinonychus. Like I said, we don't have really any definitive evidence of any dinosaurs being male. But yeah. And Dr. Irrefutable says, isn't sexual reproduction an evolutionary advantage? In most cases, yeah. But sometimes, like when you have small enough population size or something like that, it pays to be able to reproduce asexually, like condors, Komodo dragons, and a number of other animals can do. Yeah. But that is the exception. Like, they don't normally do that. It's only in a few rare cases that that's been documented, but it's possible. Yeah. We had another question didn't want to miss that from you. Sorry, your username, Mr. Proxtor. Thanks. Sorry, your username was in a color that was difficult to read against the backdrop. Do you get to name or have you ever named a dinosaur species or specimen? I've not personally named any new species of dinosaur, but I have been on teams who have done that. So far, I've not actually been the one to pick the name, but I was on the original descriptive paper for Trirarchuncus, which is a really fun dinosaur name. It means Captain Hook. Trirarchuncus prairiensis, Captain Hook of the Prairie, which is a little alvarezsaur dinosaur from the Hell Creek Formation. So I'm one of the authors on that paper, but I didn't pick the name. That was my crew chief at the time, Denver Fowler, at the Badlands Dinosaur Museum in Dickinson, North Dakota. Yeah. I'm hearing some birds right now and I don't see them. We're getting these, oh, there they are. These chirpy birds flying around. I don't know what they are. They're like a kind of sparrow or something? They're just LBBs, little brown birds. Very nondescript. I want to know what they are. I logged one to iNaturalist the other day, and it's just listed as passerine bird, because I don't know what it is. But we see these, and we've been seeing more of them the more rain that we've been getting. Oh, they're going down there by the water. Maybe we can sneak up on them. What are you, little birds? If just maybe... Come on. Maybe... But they're going for the... What are you, little birds? what? I should use Merlin. Connected to the Wi-Fi right now. Come on. Shoot. I think we missed them. The bird mystery continues. Here's some coming back. Drat. Oh well. Nothing. No suggestions. Oh well. I really want to know what those birds are. We see them every day, and there's like 6 of them who just make this trip across the valley every morning, and sometimes in the afternoon, and sometimes they're flitting around while we're in the quarry, and I want to know what they are, and I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Birds are sensing as if you... It's as if they're sensing you activated... Exactly, Cacklinsworth, yeah. Yeah. Anyhow. And yeah, they are... It does feel like they're teasing the Alexander Morrison. It'll feel really good when they finally show themselves and identify what they are. That'll be nice. Could it be a horned lark? I want to look that up real quick. Here. Let's go back to Merlin. And step by step. Yep, today. Maybe between a sparrow and a robin. They weren't small. I saw them soaring or flying. What could we have around here? They're not barn swallows. They're not tree swallows, certainly not. Northern rough-winged swallow. No, they're not swallows. They're not cliff swallows. It's giving me 4 species of swallow. It's not a red-winged blackbird. It's not a violet-green swallow or a swift. It could be a horned lark or a brown-headed cowbird. What do they sound like? Habitats. Squat-looking bird with short legs and low-profile body. Sandy brown with white belly. No, it doesn't sound like... Well, maybe. Maybe it is. Maybe they are horned larks. Let's try our cowbird. Definitely not. No. No. Maybe they are horned larks. Do they hang out in groups? Or maybe a lark sparrow? That is way too complex. That's not the right call. No, I bet you they are horned larks. They must hang out in groups then. Interesting. They're probably horned larks. In which case I already have one on a naturalist. Anyway, thank you for your patience as we try and figure out this mystery chat. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think it's a towhee. No, it was much smaller than the towhees I have back home. And those are... I know what those are. Yeah. Yeah. And hornlark makes sense. Yeah, so we definitely do get them out on the road. But I didn't know they were coming into the valley. That would, I guess that makes sense. But yeah. Anyhow, let's go back into the quarry in a minute. But let me get some more water. And I'm aware of Cacklinsworth, yeah. Yeah. I think the mic probably wasn't picking up the bird call out here IRL. But some of those definitely did not sound anything like what I was hearing. The horned lark sounded the closest. Yeah. And Casey Snowart, Casey, how are you doing? Welcome to Paleontologizing. Sorry we interrupted your monologue, was it yesterday? But congrats on 1 year of being partnered on Twitch. Hope you had an excellent stream. It's good to see you. Yeah. Anyhow. And you bet, Casey, yeah. Yeah, good. Glad you had a good stream. We're still hoping to find more bones here, but probably still too high up. We gotta dig down deeper. Get down to the proper bone layer. And it's nice and cool today. Look at that. Only 100 in the shade. Excellent. Pretty lucky today. Oh, and very cool, Casey. Casey's has just picked up my own IRL rig, actually. Congrats, Casey. That's so exciting. Jealous watching you have all the fun. I'm excited to see your IRL streams, Casey. That's going to be really, really neat. And I still need to send you an email and kind of pick your brain on data packages, because the one that I have is not sustainable. It's way too expensive when I'm doing non-satellite dish-based streams. This thing is pretty good, but, you know, I'm kind of geo-locked with it. I can only, you know, I walk over there to Ethan's bathtub and the signal cuts out. Gotta have a straight line of sight to this. If I really want to, you know, do IRL streams from zoos and museums and, you know, remote fossil sites, prospecting stuff, you know, I gotta get mobile data like you have, Casey. So I'm excited to see how that works. Yeah.
And then, like, you got up as soon as I was like, I live too bad.
Happy to share about it? Excellent. Thank you, Casey.
I was emptying mine anyway.
I appreciate it. It was just, if they make it.
Anyhow. Let's go have a spinner.
One bucket in.
It's good to have Ethan back, too. How you doing, Ethan?
I'm good. How are you, chat?
Yeah. Chat, be polite. Answer Ethan, please.
Come on now.
Anything good over here?
Just a bunch of dirt.
Just horse noises.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got up once earlier and I was
What's that big black and white horse? It's really stocky.
What's that muscular horse up to?
Yeah. So anyway, at one point, Ethan, like, when this work is done here in the bowl, got to bring you and maybe Logan on for a sort of like a wrap-up interview about all the field work, the prospecting, and everything there in Wyoming. So that'll be fun. Look forward to that, chat.
Big time.
But
big time, fun time.
Any teasers for the folks at home?
We found a lot of stuff, most of which we don't know what it is yet.
Uh-huh.
As in, like, new localities.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So we did a lot of finding sites and documenting sites, but we haven't tested a lot of sites, which is where you dig in a little bit to see what you have.
Right.
But what we did was we found lots of bone on the surface at lots of different places.
Nice.
That have some of which have a lot of promise. So I think probably for a week at some point this year, I'll head out there and just dig a bunch of little pits. What's going on?
Yeah.
And what these new sites might actually
Test pits.
entail, what they may contain.
That's exciting. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. What's going on out there?
That'll be cool. And we got to find a time when Logan's available to do
he's a slippery fish.
a Zoom call or something.
He'd love to do it.
Yeah, awesome, cool. Yeah. So again, as a reminder for anybody who who donated, what was it, $50 and above, I think? Or was it 40? I think it may have been 40 for Petrodactylus's stream and 50 for mine for our truck fundraiser. We were raising money in order to be able to get a rental vehicle so that Logan could go out and prospect for new sites in Wyoming, find some new dinosaurs. You know, in order to be able to dig in a quarry like this, first we have to be able to actually find the site. So you go out and you look for bone eroding out on the surface, and hopefully it turns into something. So Logan spent, I think, about 2 weeks out there in Wyoming just looking for new sites. And, yeah, a big part of that was made possible by your donations. And so here's what I'm getting to. If you donated, I think, $50 or above, you got to help name a site. So, like, submit a name, and then when Logan finds a site, he can use your name for it. So people named them after their parents, or after pets, or after video game characters, or references, stuff like that. So we'll be doing a fun stream at some point when I get home, interviewing Ethan and Logan about what they found out there and what that was like. Probably the vehicle was like too, that they rented with your funds. And then we'll be affixing, I should say, those names to those different sites. So, exciting stuff. Yeah. All contributing to science, exactly, Petrodactylus, yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, and thank you, Claire. We had a clip there? Nice. Yeah. Good stuff. If anybody else has got any questions or anything, we've got about an hour left here. And as Don was saying, that giant cloud full of moisture has just gone east of us. I was afraid that was going to get us. But we got lucky again. How many more times will we get lucky like this before one of these things just crunches us? I don't know. But, yeah, we keep an eye on things. We make sure to button up the quarry before we have to run back to camp. Anyway, nice. Pretty lucky here. Yeah. Want to see a rainstorm so bad, says Drunky Kong? I mean, you could look back in previous streams. We've had sudden rainstorms that have taken us by surprise. But don't be cursing us with that. Don't say, oh, I hope these guys really get caught in a sudden downpour in the middle of the stream and Danny's streaming equipment all gets ruined. And then he has to go home. Don't hope for that. What are you thinking? Yeah. And Mopar225 says, what kind of base camp is used in the field as a living setup? Good question, yeah. You can almost see it from here. I think if we walk up a little bit this way, you might just be able to catch a glimpse of it. It's just over my shoulder back there. Let's go to slightly higher elevation. But we all have personal tents, so people bring different kinds of tents out here that they sleep in. I've got a big canvas tent. Other people have nylon tents. Some people are sleeping in their vehicles right now because their tents have been destroyed by, well, maybe they had a pole broken by rainfly fell apart because of too much UV radiation. Nick actually has a little trailer over there, which is good for him. Shoot. Those paleo monitoring dollars, putting those to good use. So we've got personal tents kind of scattered throughout the valley over there. Some of them next to vehicles. There's mine. If you look just above the shade tarps of our quarry, see that white thing? It almost looks like a barn over there. That is my tent with a big cream-colored rain fly over the top of it. And there's my Toyota Prius just to the left of it there. You might see some sun glinting off it. I hope that the camera can pick this up. It's not too far away. And then if you look up directly above my tent, there's like an orangish reddish one. I think that's Chemo's. His is just over the hill from mine. And then to the right of that, the biggest structure that you see over there, those are two little portable garages. So we set those up and shelter if it's raining just a little bit, then we can go huddle under those. but it's nice just to keep the sun off. We've got some picnic tables set up underneath, or folding tables, where we keep our... And all of our cooking gear, pots and pans and stuff like that. We've got them in some plastic boxes over there. And then we've got our trailer, which is just behind it. So, a trailer you'd keep motorcycles in. It's too small to like keep a horse in. But yeah, little trailer, and that has a propane-powered refrigerator / freezer in it, which is such a luxury to have out here. We can go have cold drinks at the end of the day, and that is so nice. I look forward to that every afternoon. Yeah, and then that trailer also provides just a little bit of extra shelter too. If we got a really bad storm, we might go huddle up in that trailer, or we get into our vehicles. Especially when there's lightning or something. If it's nearby, better safe than sorry. We go climb into the vehicles so that nobody gets hit by lightning, because you don't want that to happen. But yeah, so that's it. Camp. It is Spartan, some might say rudimentary, but it's well adapted to these conditions out here. So Don and Jim have been coming out here to Doling's Bowl for about 20 years at this point. And so each year, just a little bit more refined, and also the equipment breaks a little bit more. It's just how it goes. But like, the strategy gets better, the infrastructure gets worse. Yeah. But yeah, they've got a system, you know? We also have some coolers over there. When people are coming to or from camp, well, when new people are coming into camp, or if we leave to go to town and come back, we'll try to bring big blocks of ice with us in the coolers in order to be able to keep drinks and other perishable food. Fridge isn't really working properly, which happens. We've got some camping chairs set up over there, so at the end of the day, we all walk back to camp, and then we hang out under those portable garages to get some shade. We'll hang out, we'll cook ourselves some dinner, and then yeah, before we know it, the sun is going down, and people are ready to go to sleep. So they all go wander back to their tents, and you know, we try and get some rest for the next day. It's a routine that you develop over time. Like, it's actually really comfortable, you know? You kind of wake up with the sun, you get ready for the day, you pack up your bag, make your lunch, get things ready. We walk out to the quarry here, we set up the shade tarps. You know, excavate fossils, collect them, gather data, we map things onto the map. And then, before we know it, it's 5 p.m. Time to wrap things up. We take down those shade tarps and put them over the surface of the quarry, so that if we get rain during the night, hopefully the quarry floor won't be a sopping mess, although sometimes it still is. And then we go walk back to camp. The cycle begins anew. Yeah. Anywho. An interesting H-feed, yeah. Huh. Yeah, we try to limit our trips into town H-Suite because fuel is expensive, and we've got... It's funny, this morning I was asking Don, like, what's our budget again for the day? And Don goes, budget? Pfft. As if we have money? We try and keep our travel down to a minimum if we can, just because stuff is far away here, and the more you drive, the more chance there is of a flat tire or something that can really kind of derail your day. We try and spend as much time as we can just in our little... 1% do not have the budget for hotel, for anything other than simple meals. We do our cooking ourselves, obviously. There's no running water, no electricity. If you really want air conditioning, like if somebody's not feeling well, they can go sit in one of the vehicles and turn the AC on. But for the most part, we live very simply out here. And you know what? I look forward to this all year round. And also, I do a few months of fieldwork every year. So I really enjoy this kind of thing, but it's a lovely kind of reset throughout the year. You know, getting away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life and just spending time with cool people out in the desert. There's something really special about that. I think in some ways, and I've talked to other paleontologists about this, people who do field work, and they're like, oh yeah, I get that. It's like that's what your year revolves around. That's your reset. It's like that's New Year's, you know? You get back home and it's like there's all these things that you want to do. Recharged, you know, I want to work on this new paper now and dive into the literature in this area, learn about these concepts. I want to contact these researchers and see if I can join this project, or, you know, let's get a new paper started up. Let's go work on some home projects or a new hobby or something like that. We're thinking about all that stuff while we're out here. So when we get home, it's almost like we've got New Year's resolutions. And then you know, do your normal routine for 8 or 9 or 10 months or however long you don't spend in the field. And then it's time to go back out there, and you're kind of waiting with eager anticipation until the next field season, the following summer. Yeah, it's kind of lovely. You know, I've been living like this since 2011. That was my first field season. And I don't know, not to be like precious about it, but it's a lifestyle, you know? Desert living for a few months out of the year and then going back to civilization. And it's funny, sometimes when we're out here, we want to be back there. But when we're back there, we want to be here. It's funny how that... Yeah. And unless screen time helps, it does, yeah. And you know, it's like your body's just kind of attuned to that daily cycle of, you know, sun goes down, it's almost time to go to bed. Sun comes up, time to wake up. There's nothing in the way of that. We're sleeping in tents at night, so it's like we're kind of in tune with that natural daily cycle. And not to be woo-woo about anything, but, you know, you think about it like, for the majority of the human beings, for the majority of our tenure on this planet so far as human beings, that's the way that we've lived. Modern society where, like, people stay up really, really late at night, and they've got artificial illumination, they've got, you know, LED screens, they've got all this stuff. For some people, like me maybe, maybe that doesn't feel the healthiest, you know? So it's nice to have this reset every year. Yeah. And Nerdowino says, civilization, I thought you lived in the Bay Area. Yeah, you would say that being from SoCal, Nerdowino. It's good to see you, Nerdowino. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good day. But, yeah. Some northern, southern California rivalry going on here. Yeah. And then, yeah, and Emily says, I asked Jameson, the youngest member of our crew, whether he wanted to stay for a day at a resort hotel near Moab. And he said no, he'd rather be out there. I mean, yeah, some people might find that astonishing. Like, would you rather stay in a resort hotel with a swimming pool and air conditioning and room service? Or would you rather be out here in the desert living in a tent and then hanging out with a bunch of, you know, dirty paleontologists? Just dust everywhere in the hot sun. But, you know what, I'd take this over a resort any day. That's why I'm out here. That and I can't afford a resort. Yeah. And Kira Clip says, how do you store food or cook? Is it dried in cans primarily? So, like I said, we do have the propane-powered refrigerator and freezer. And we do have some coolers that periodically will get restocked with ice. Hopefully before all the ice runs out. So, yeah, we do have some frozen foods like I don't do meat, so I have a lot of veggie burgers. That's kind of a staple for me out here, and those will be in the freezer. And then if the freezer goes on the fritz, then you can put them in a cooler. Yeah, and then we grill things on a propane stove. Unfortunately, we only have one working burner. We've got 3 different cooking devices. We've got a little barbecue grill, and actually Don did manage to fix that the other day, so the barbecue grill is working, also propane powered. So yeah, that's really nice to have. And then we have a little cooking stove with multiple burners, but only one of them's working. So yeah, we've got a lot of propane and propane accessories out here. That's how we cook our dinner. That's our one hot meal of the day. And then for lunches, we'll make sandwiches, and we've got like a big bag of tortilla chips, so people take those. If we're lucky, somebody's gone to town recently and picked up apples, maybe some tangerines. So we have those too. Yeah, and the sandwiches are either peanut butter and jelly, or I like to do a tortilla with pepper jack cheese and lettuce and mustard. It's like my daily sandwich wrap. Give us this day our daily wrap. And yeah, so some of that stuff, the cheese, the lettuce, can get refrigerated or put in a cooler if the fridge is on the fritz. Yeah, and then for breakfast, I just do a protein shake. So water and then whey protein. And if I'm lucky and there's some ice, I throw some ice in there. That helps agitate things and shake it up and makes it nice and cold. That's what I do for breakfast, but most people have cereal. And yeah, there's actually a little tradition around the cereal, and I'll let Dawn explain. It's a nice example of how frugal we try to be out here, or really how frugal we need to be out here, given that we don't have a big budget or anything. So there's a little game that we play with cereal time. I'm going to turn these around to catch a little bit more sun. We might not be doing so hot with the solar power today because it's a little cloudy, but that's fine. Hey Don, can I bother you for a second?
Just when he sits down.
Yeah. You can sit down. Just wanted to ask you about the cereal bowl game. This is something that Don invented a few years back, and
well, you know how when you have little kids,
yeah,
and you want to get them to do chores,
uh-huh,
you somehow turn it into a game.
Mm-hmm.
So here, I want people to conserve our little paper bowls. So
yeah,
when you get your paper bowl at the beginning of the season, you write your name on it, and then we keep them up on the fridge, and then
yeah,
you try to see how long you can go before you have to replace your paper bowl.
Gotcha. So the goal is to use as few paper bowls as you can during the course of the summer.
You get bonus points if you use it for dinner too.
That's true, yeah. Yeah, there was some cheese residue in the bottom of Laura's bowl the other day, which looked kind of gross, but she used it for macaroni and cheese and then for cereal again in the morning. Yeah.
Your folks probably remember Fisher.
Yeah.
And he eats the cereal dry, so he always wins. He can go an entire season. The bowl still looks pristine and brand new. So.
Yeah, yeah. What's that, Henry?
I was musing to myself, you want kids to do something and turn it into a game. I'm going to start doing that in my research lab for undergrads.
There you go, yeah.
Works for adults too, really.
I'm learning all sort of things here.
Gotta gamify
if I
this.
just said, try to use your bowl for as long as possible, then use it for a day or two and then toss it.
Right.
But when you turn it into a highly competitive game.
Exactly,
and,
yeah. I wonder what our record is for the fewest number of bowls in a season.
Yeah, well, like I said, Fisher goes the entire season because he only uses it for dry cereal.
Yeah, yeah.
He can even probably save it till next year.
He should do that, actually, yeah.
And then, does that mean it goes into negative numbers at that point?
I guess so, yeah. Yeah.
And then sometimes I cheat by actually having 2 bowls. But
to reinforce them? Yeah.
I don't think you're supposed to tell people you're cheating at your own game.
But yeah.
And there really is no prize. It's just bragging rights and
personal pride.
Personal pride, and then we had occasionally the bowl just gets kind of nasty. So
yeah, kind of happens.
It's always a balance between water usage and
we
could all have regular bowls.
Yeah, we could all have plastic bowls or ceramic bowls.
All season, but
then you have to wash them. So
so we're.
I feel like that's kind of the best of all worlds currently with just very few paper bowls per season.
Yeah, we'll try. And, so, yeah, that's it. Pretty exciting out here. It begins in the morning, it doesn't end till we go to bed. It's just as much fun as you can possibly have.
There we go, yeah. Thanks, Don. Yeah. So, I don't know. I could have explained that to you myself, but it's fun to get that straight from Don, because that was his brainchild. But yeah. It's a nice way to kind of stretch out our budget bit by little bit. It wouldn't, like, somebody could go to the supermarket and buy a stack of 30 paper bowls for $5 or whatever. But I feel like that's a nice kind of... It's an example of how we try and conserve resources out here. Reuse things, spend as little money as possible because we have so little money. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Somebody said, how do you stay cool? I mean, we've got the shade tarps. That's generally how this works. Mythic Mexican says, how about glass bowls instead of paper? Well, then we would need to wash them with water every day. And water... we want to be drinking as much water as we can be out here. And we want to be using water for as few other things as possible. So, like Don was saying, we could have regular bowls and just wash them, but... You know, it's a balancing act, like he said. And the nice balance that we found is just try to use paper bowls, disposable ones, but use as few as possible. So reuse your one-time use bowl as many times as you can. Write your name on it. It's a competition, yeah. But yeah. And Luke Herman's Gaming says, I can imagine, depending on the workplace, being a lab paleontologist could be more lonely than being in the field. That's the funny thing, is that we're out here in the middle of nowhere, you know, miles from no place. And yet, the most socializing that I do all year is while I'm in the field. Because we have a small group of people, but, you know, we're working side by side in the quarry all day. Or at least I am until I start streaming. Yeah, and you get to know these folks really well. You know, you make lifelong friends in the field. So some of these people, like, you know, I just met them 5 years ago, but they feel like family already. And like, you see the same folks at the same time every year. I'll also see them at conferences and like, yeah. Yeah, I got invited to a wedding this fall. One of the crew members is getting married. So I'm driving back out to Utah at the end of August. Yeah, stuff like that. That's one of my favorite parts of fieldwork, is the camaraderie, you know? The friendships that you develop out here with like-minded people. These are my folks, you know? This is my chosen tribe, I guess. Yeah, you just build these lifelong relationships like this, doing this kind of work. And when stuff goes wrong in the field, somebody's tent gets wrecked, or got some vital supply, or, you know, heaven forbid somebody gets hurt or something like that, you know, we band together and we take care of each other. I would think it still bears repeating, like, the friendships that you make out here are strong. You're spending all your daylight hours hanging out with the same small group of people. You get to know them pretty well. It is a beautiful thing, Lisbeth. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anywho. And Jen Alex says... oh, hi, Miss Spaceberry. Welcome, welcome. And Newfie Nate says, would a well be possible out there? No, the groundwater here is going to be super, super deep. And also, this is federal public land. This is like in a way, kind of protected land. So there would be a ton of paperwork for like drilling a well. Also, I think if you're to drill deep enough to find well water, it might be radioactive here. This is an area where there was a lot of uranium mining in the middle of the 20th century. Yeah, the Yellow Cat mining district is actually kind of famous for uranium. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the well water in this area would be more or less poisonous, which is why we don't never think about that. We go to town to get our water, potable municipal water from a local town, and luckily we get it for free, which is nice. But it is a big pain in the butt to have to drive all the way out there, load up all the water barrels and everything. And then that's one of the reasons I was late coming to the quarry today, is I had to fill up all of our water jugs from the big water barrel. And that takes a while. And then I had to secure the water barrel to the bed of the truck, keep it from bouncing out when we take the empty barrel back to town to refill it. But yeah. And that's absolutely true. Keep a chair cat, yes. I'm sure paleontologists would be lovers of the natural world. We generally are, yeah. You'd likely want to minimize as much permanent damage to the area as possible. Yep. You know, we are here to be stewards of the land, which is, you know, I mean, it sounds highfalutin, but it's true. Yeah, Nick is laughing at me over there. We are digging a big stupid hole in the ground, true, but at the same time,
I'm just teasing you.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But like, if you're thinking that, then people in the chat are thinking that too. So like, that's a fair point.
They're like basically the same.
But like, if there's trash that we see blowing around out here, we would 100% pick that up. You know, apart from digging a big stupid hole and then putting these marker nails around for our data maps. Apart from doing that, you know, we try and be as limited impact as we can. And also, if we happen to see anybody out here that we think might be up to no good, before, we think that we see people who might be trying to poach fossils or, you know, their drodes and stuff like that, you know, we might report that to the Bureau of Land Management. We're here under BLM permit, so we had to apply to the Bureau of Land Management in order to be able to get permission to dig on these protected federal lands. And so, as a result, we have a certain responsibility, not just like personally and morally, but legally. We have a responsibility to take care of this land and do whatever we can to help out wherever we can. And have you guys ever encountered poachers? A few times, Deathsaurus, yeah. But yeah. And Zanzibar says, to be honest, in the grand scheme of things, that isn't a big hole. It's true. It's very true. Again, when we were looking over at Ethan's wash over there, you know, that looked like a big scar on the landscape at this point last year, and now it's just, you know, with a little bit of rain and some wind and sun and everything else, it's already just starting to look like a natural part of the landscape again in just 1 year, you know, with some more rain and some snow. They didn't get any snow this past winter, I don't think, which is nuts. But snow also helps a lot with that too. So yeah, honestly, doing something like, I don't know, if you were, like they did back in the day, building a road, bulldozing a trail through the landscape to get to a uranium mining claim, you know, that's much more of a scar on the landscape than any of the little holes that we're digging here. Yeah. And Jen Alex says, I guess metal detecting is banned as well? No, you could go out metal detecting, I think. Maybe? I actually don't know. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure if that's legal under Bureau of Land Management stipulations. Yeah. Crimson, oh boy. We do have a cooler and some ice, but we use that for food. None of us is going to go carving up any poachers. That's not our job. We'll leave that to the authorities. Oh, and Luke Herman's Gaming's got a great question. They say, my best friend imagines fossil fuel is putting dinosaur bones into some blender and making an oil smoothie out of it. What is the simplest way to explain to him how it actually is? I would say, goodness. Tell them it's like a plankton smoothie that's been aged like a fine barrel of whiskey over millions of years. Because oil generally comes from oceanic strata, so it's from rocks that were formed at the bottom of the ocean. And so, sure, there are fishes and squids and vertebrate, tetrapod whales and things, whatever, marine reptiles that would fall down to the bottom, but 99.9% of the biomass is probably just going to be plankton. So it's just layers of plankton that have been squished together over millions of years and buried and then congealed into a carbon-rich kind of gunk and then metamorphosed with heat and pressure into petroleum. So you could say it's like, it's like a well-aged plankton smoothie slurry. Living things are made out of carbon, you know? Your body, my body, the bodies of plankton. And so that carbon, if it gets compressed enough, just becomes a carbon-rich goo, and that can be burned to generate energy. But we really need to stop doing that ASAP, because that's what's currently cooking our planet, causing these heat waves and everything. We're literally changing the composition of the atmosphere by burning all of that carbon, putting it up there. That traps heat in the atmosphere and causes climate change. It's just basics. Yeah. And Mayor of Space says, were any of the poachers like that villain from the Rescuers Down Under with an evil monitor lizard sidekick? Yeah, voiced by George C. himself. No, none of the poachers were like that. They were like, I don't know. You can look this up. There were some interesting news stories about fossil poaching in Utah. There was a big, law enforcement operation, some stings going on and stuff, trying to catch fossil poachers, and unfortunately, I don't think it really went anywhere. I think due to some technicality, they all got off scot-free. Oh, our bird is back. But you can read about that. You can look up articles just a few years ago. All right. Here we go. Merlin. Sound ID. Oh, there's some thunder. Let's get a little bit closer to our bird friend over here. Might be a horned lark. Interesting. Silent. I think that's a horned lark, though. Cool. That would make sense. Yeah. Raven22 says, what do you think is the coolest find from this dig site? That's a good question. I think our most important fossil bones that we found in the past 5 years from this site, we haven't really found much of anything here in the last week, just a few scraps of bone. We're just getting down to, well, hopefully approaching the proper layers soon. But the most scientifically important bones we've got from our iguanodonts so far is probably the hip bones, like the ilia. But actually, it'd be nice to ask Ethan about this. Because Ethan's actually working on a lot of the stuff in the lab for the Utah Geological Survey. So yeah, can I bother you for a second, Ethan?
Sure thing.
Yeah, what do you think is the most scientifically important bone or bones that we found so far? Maybe at Ethan's wash over there. Would it be the ilia?
Ilia are pretty neat. We do have yeah, iguanodont hips are hot right now. So the pubes from there, the ischia from there are cool.
Okay.
And the ilia are nice too because we have a sweet growth series.
Right.
I would guess probably the hip elements.
Okay, cool.
We have so many limbs and verts and stuff that it's like, you know. But yeah, the hips from over there are quite nice.
Excellent.
Other than mandible, is there any other skulls that come out?
I don't think we got a lot of other crania from Ethan's wash, but we have like jugals, brain case, post-orbitals, premaxillae, maxillae from the iguanodon, from here, from Karen's place, from Don's, I think. So
right.
We have a fair amount of cranial material, but Ethan's wash, I don't think produced much crania beyond like dentaries and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's
why
some
we so
sweet
badly want
dogs.
some squamosals from here, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
This is our squamosal wishing well.
So, cross your fingers, chat, or donate some bits or gift some subs. Whatever lucky thing you do, give us some luck. Let's find some squamosals here. Anyway, let me go explain what these elements are. I've got an iguanodon skeletal diagram over there. We can talk about this. But yeah, I'm trying to answer your question there, Raven. Hopefully I'm doing an okay job. Yeah. But yeah, I like that too. Confusing. Yeah, iguanodon hips are hot right now. And Alexander Morrison, we had a crew member find some croc teeth just the other day. Not here, but like next to a crew member's tent. A lot of this stuff is just coming out on the surface. And teeth are one of those elements that are pretty resilient. So even after bone and stuff starts to break up and fall apart, the teeth might last a little bit longer. Ooh, nice, it's cooling down. 97.9. Yeah, excellent. All right. Iguanodon. So the diagram I'm going to show you is not our dinosaur, but it's a close relative. And so it'll give you a sense for what this critter would look like, but it's not exactly the same thing. Here we go. Iguanodon bernisartensis. This is from Belgium in Europe. But here's the skeleton of Iguanodon. Our critter is probably going to be a little bit smaller than this, because this guy's huge. Here's a 1 meter square, and here is a human person for scale. So the hip bones are right here. There's your femur, your thigh bone. So that connects into the acetabulum, the hole in the middle of the hips. Up top you have the ilium bone. Ilium is singular, ilia is plural. The pubis is in front. There's a little prong that sticks out the back too. And then here is the ischium. So we have all three of these hip bones from this animal, and those are really important because those bones evolve pretty quickly in these lineages. So in different kinds of iguanodont, the hip bones will look different. So each species has got kind of a unique shape to them. And our new guy has got a new shape. Actually, we might have two new guys because, yeah, some of the ilia look different from each other. So that's either different species that we found here, or it might be individual variation, which is not as likely as ontogenetic variation. So sometimes these bones change a lot as the animals grow during their lifetimes. Kind of like a frog going from an egg to a tadpole to a frogling to a frog. Dinosaurs are a little bit less dramatic, but they still go through a lot of changes during their lifetimes. And so having these different bones can be really, really helpful there. We've also got ribs and vertebrae and limb bones, and we've got a few scattered skull bones, but we don't have the squamosals yet. That would be really, really good to find, because we have squamosals from some closely related iguanodonts here in the Cedar Mountain Formation of Utah. And when we're comparing one dinosaur skeleton to another, when those skeletons are not complete, you want to make sure that you're comparing overlapping parts whenever you can. And we don't have that part yet from this new critter. So if we can find a squamosal, we will be very, very happy. That's like a... we find a squamosal, so we're hoping to. We've got a little over 2 weeks now. I think it's 15 days after today. So we'll see. Find a squamosal. And a lot of these bones, we won't even know exactly which bone they are until they get back into the laboratory and get cleaned and prepared. We'll see. Yeah. Anywho. And Rushwing says, I would say pretty much the same if they're important for walking. No, they change a lot. There's a ton of different muscles that attach to the hips. You've got your tail muscles, you got your leg muscles. It's like the central point on the animal. And while it is really, really important, it also changes a lot. So those hips do not stay the same. They're changing. Dinosaur hips in general are pretty dynamic. So they could be highly diagnostic, meaning each species might have unique morphology, and then different groups certainly have very different looking hips. So one way to tell iguanodont from hadrosaur dinosaurs, iguanodontids from hadrosaurids or hadrosauroids, is hadrosauroids tend to have kind of like a shelf on the top of their ilium, and your earlier iguanodonts don't have that. This is something that I was looking at when I was in Denver, Colorado back in February. I made a visit to that museum and was looking at some of their specimens, trying to figure out if two different dinosaurs that have been named as different dinosaurs, if they actually are different, or if they're the same animal at different stages of growth, or maybe with things that have happened to the fossils to make them look different. So like crushing can sometimes create weird morphologies. So anyway, that was kind of inconclusive, which is not the result I wanted or was expecting, but so it goes oftentimes. But yeah, the hips change a lot. And let's see. Does the hip height usually include the ilium? I think it always does, Marco Tours, yeah. Yeah, so the ilium is often like the highest bone on the skeleton for an animal like this. Although here you've got these long sacral spines. So within, like in between the ilia are those vertebrae, the hip vertebrae, what we call the sacrum or sacral vertebrae. Then you have neural spines coming off of those. But I guess some of the dorsals here on Iguanodon vernisartensis would be taller. But on different dinosaurs, you'll have a different highest point on the body. Some dinosaurs like Brachiosaurus, their head is way up here, and their arms are actually longer than their legs. Some dinosaurs, like some ceratopsids, like say Triceratops, the top of the frill would be the highest point on the body. For some hadrosaurs, there's a crest that goes up past those neural spines. Yeah. Anyhow, lots of different examples. But that's usually not a super important thing. Like, what's the highest point on the dinosaur skeleton? That might be an interesting little tidbit, but it's not really like scientifically important. It doesn't really tell you necessarily anything important about the animal. Yeah, and there you go, confused again. Yeah, things are inconclusive a lot of times. Yeah. Anyhow, yeah. And Raven says, what is something that you would want to eat for dinner out here? Yeah, I'm not into pulled pork. I'm a vegetarian. What would be really nice to have out here? Well, last night we actually got to go into town and got to go to the little taco truck in Green River, Utah. It's funny, there's also a Green River, Wyoming. I try not to get those mixed up. Anyway, yeah, taco truck. So that was really nice. Got a nice veggie burrito and a veggie taco. Superb. So good. Oftentimes I'm just craving like Indian food. A really nice like paneer tikka masala. Oh man, one of my favorite foods. Or like a really good Thai red curry would be excellent. Or like continuing with the Thai food theme, like a Penang curry or pad Thai or something would be superb. But generally, we have pretty simple meals. So tonight, I'm guessing we're probably going to do burgers. Often we'll tailor the evening's meal toward whatever the weather is doing. So like, if we can see some big clouds on the horizon coming toward us, or if we see something on the weather radar, we go, oh shoot, we might only have 45 minutes until a storm gets here. We might do something really simple like grill up some burgers. And I have veggie burgers for that. Oh, more of those birds. Are they horned larks? Oh, we gotta go investigate. don't want to disturb them while they're getting their water. But I also really want to know what they are. And there they go. Darn it. They were not planning on sticking around. They gotta be horned larks, right? I guess the mystery continues. Yeah. Pizza would be really nice too. We have had people bring us pizza before. In fact, a few years back, maybe it was last year, some of the mods conspired to get us a pizza delivered. We're well outside anybody's delivery range out here, but one of our mods also happens to be a crew member, Paleo Ken, and Ken brought a pizza over as he was driving over from Colorado, and that was pretty exquisite. Yeah. 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 Oh, and is Lordy here in the chat? Where is she? If you get Indian food in the field, how will I ever get you to come home? I don't know, Lordy. If I can get Indian pizza in the field, oh man. We've got some really excellent Indian pizza places in the Bay Area. Yeah, if you've never had Indian pizza before, it sounds kind of crazy, but it is one of my very favorite foods. Yeah. Where there's like paneer and onions and how would you describe it, Lordy? Actually, you're a culinary person. You've got a culinary degree. You can wax poetical about these things. I don't know what I'm talking about. Could you describe a really good Indian pizza? Amazing. Keep it Kirchit. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And oh, and you've got some in Fresno. Nice. How to do it? Yeah. Yeah. There's a place called Zante Pizza and Indian Food in San Francisco, and that is, oh, it is stellar. It's so good. I'm glad we're talking about food toward the end of the stream because don't have to wait too long for dinner after this. But yeah. Oh, and very cool. Hey, Daily Dustin says hello, Paleontologizing. Hello to you, Dustin. My coworker Tren recommended your channel to me. Happy to be here. Tren, who was out with us in the field, was it last year in Wyoming? Very cool. You've got a really cool friend. Tren is awesome. If we're talking about the same person. Welcome, welcome. It's good to have you here. I'm out here in eastern Utah right now, near the town of Moab, and yeah. Survey. Right now the quarry's pretty crowded, but hopefully tomorrow I'll sit down and actually do some digging. Yeah, we've got, we think, several new species of dinosaur here.
Don't stop till you get enough.
Don't stop till you get enough.
We're up north by home. He is, yeah, awesome, Dustin. Wow, that's some serious cred there. If you're one of Tren's friends, then you're a cool guy in my view.
Which is it Tren?
Tren, yeah. So one of Tren's friends is here in the chat right now.
Hershey?
Dustin.
Well, Tren Hershey?
Yeah, Tren Hershey. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Our favorite kind of chocolate.
Yep.
I had some Hershey yesterday. It was really good.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. The very one.
Yeah.
Prospecting champion.
All right. Oh, and Emily asked, does Jameson help clean up after dinner with 2 exclamation marks or 2 question marks? He has been, yeah, I think.
Yeah, I watched like my what?
At gunpoint.
I do sometimes. I mean, it like rotates.
To be fair, I don't think I've really helped wash more than like 1 dish so far this season. So.
Deflect.
Yeah.
Please deflect the day.
But yeah.
You will be tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's my turn.
I watched my spoon in my Tupperware.
There you go. Yeah.
So yes.
we all pitch in. You know, and it's one of those situations where like there's certain chores that certain people just really hate doing. I'm not fond of doing dishes, but I'll do them. But you know, it's one of the reasons I was so late getting to the quarry today is I filled up all those water jugs. and tied down the barrel in the back of the truck so it doesn't go. I told Don, I painted a whole picture for him. I'm like, look, I tied up the big water barrel in the back of the truck now that it's empty. We don't want it flying out and then causing a school bus to go off the road and crash into a nuclear plant. I mean, can you imagine the mess?
Imagine the superpowers those kids would have.
Exactly, yeah, we can't have that. Yeah. Anyhow, different chores are preferred by different people. I don't mind doing the water stuff. And Mothproof KT says, I don't think anyone is actually fond of washing dishes. I mean, that's usually my job back home, is I will load and unload the dishwasher, but I don't enjoy washing dishes by hand. Yeah. I do really enjoy sweeping and using the vacuum cleaner and any kind of chore where you spray down a surface and wipe it clean. There's something very satisfying about that, but it's the same thing in the field. Like when we're digging in the quarry, there's certain jobs that people really like to do and certain jobs that people really don't like to do. Mapping. But I kind of enjoy it nowadays, especially when we've got the whole grid going. Mapping could be fun. You've drawn the bones on the quarry floor, gotta get the shape right and everything. Yeah. Certain people really like jacketing, making these plaster jackets with the plaster and burlap. Some people really don't like that. So, we've got a bunch of different people here. So sometimes we can kind of pick and choose which different tasks are well suited to which individuals and stuff, Yeah. And Danny does a ton of dishes at home. I do, Lordy. Although, I generally don't hand wash them. It's like anytime I have to buy some sort of new implement for the kitchen, gotta make sure it's dishwashed. Because, wash these things by hand, nuts to that. Get something that can go in the dishwasher. Yeah. And there you go, Luke Irvin's gaming. Yeah, fair. Yeah. And Raven says, would you rather have breakfast for dinner or a late brunch while you are here? Does the brunch come with mimosas? Or samosas? Take that too. I used to get those mixed up all the time. They sound similar. Man, samosas sound good too. Breakfast for dinner. I'm not really a huge fan of breakfast for dinner, to be honest. I don't know. A lot of breakfast foods are very sausage or meat heavy, which is not really something I do. And also, one of the few things that I'm picky about, things I could eat but I just don't like, are eggs. I don't like eggs. So yeah, I'm not really a huge breakfast guy, to be honest. I'll often do lunch for breakfast at home. I'll go to a diner for breakfast, on those lucky occasions that I get to go to a diner. Be like, yeah, can I get the veggie burger? I know it's 7 o'clock in the morning, but I'd really like that. Yeah. Cosmo Ceratopolitan. Oh boy, Crimson. Yeah. That does sound good, verified. Banana caramel pancake mix? Huh. And there you go, Jen Alex, yeah. In more obnoxious times, I've said the following about eggs. I just don't like them. Generally speaking, I try not to eat anything that comes out of a chicken's butt. Because that's what it is. The cloaca is, that's the orifice that chickens have, that crocodilians have, that a lot of different reptiles have, and that Mesozoic dinosaurs would have had too. The word cloaca, I think, is, I don't know if it's Latin or Greek. We use those almost interchangeably in the biological sciences, Latin and Greek. It's one of the two, but it means sewer. But it's the all-purpose orifice, so that's for excreting waste, both solid and liquid, and it's the genital opening as well. Yeah, cloaca. It's a fun word. That's where eggs come out of. Oh, eggs come out of there too. Yeah. And at least milk just comes from the supermarket. Uh-oh. I got bad news for you there, Luke Herman's Gaming. Yeah. Milk comes from mammals. From a specific part of the mammal. It's Latin, thank you. I will remember that, Emily. Thank you. Cloaca is Latin. Okay. Cleanse. Cluo. Those cloaca sewer drain. Thank you, weird adult. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. The great mammal almonds. Yeah, almond milk. Verified. Yeah. Anywho, we got about 10-15 minutes left here, so if anybody's got any particular questions about fossil science or about the that we're doing here, I should talk a little bit more about our iguanodonts. I can show off that fancy model that I got. I spared no expense this year in getting a decent iguanodon model to show off to the chat. So let's put that to good use. Got that in here. Wrapped up thusly. So this is going to be of iguanodon in particular. Our critter is probably 20 million years older than this. So not as derived, more primitive. But here we go. Iguanodon. This is a lovely model here. Oh, and it's getting a little bit warped by the sun. Shoot, I'm going to hit this with the heat gun when I get home. And, yeah, the feet are going kind of wonky. Man, the heat here. But this is Iguanodon bernisartensis. So, this is one of the most famous dinosaurs in the world. And, our critter would be a lot like this guy, but earlier in time. There's these characteristic big thumb spikes here on this animal. Our critter probably doesn't have those yet. That's probably a later innovation that these guys develop. But this is the general body shape for this kind of critter that we're excavating here. So we're hoping to find some more bones from the back of the skull, and then whatever else we can get. Really, back of the skull would be superb to get more of that. That'd be highly diagnostic, really important bones. So, yeah. Yeah, it is a gorgeous model. Yeah, this is, I think, How Long Good. It's a Chinese brand. They do, like, basically museum quality replicas. I've actually seen some of these on display in museums before. Right next to an actual fossil, it's like, here's the fossil, and here's what the dinosaur looks like. So it's high quality stuff. Really good. And Sporky says, is there a bone or bone shape that only dinosaurs and birds have? There are some, yeah. Let me show you. Iguanodon is not going to have this. But all of your theropods do. Let's see, here we go. The wishbone. So here it is in Velociraptor, and here it is, number 8, in a turkey. So most, if not all, birds have that furcula, F-U-R-C-U-L-A, wishbone. There we go. So those are the collarbones that are fused together. So this is an important muscle attachment point for birds. And then for dinosaurs, it's probably not as important, but it's also a muscle attachment point for the arms. Yeah, there's a number of other things, like, that's you could call this like a different bone, like the furcula is unique to theropod dinosaurs, including birds. But there's other ones where it's like everybody has this bone, or lots of critters have this bone, but it's specially shaped in birds and dinosaurs. And like the semilunate carpal, it's what, number 7 on here? Yeah. So there's like a half-moon shaped bone in the wrist that allows birds to kind of... I can't do this because I don't have this bone, but it's my hand here. If I were to put it like that so that my middle finger, or my pinky finger rather, goes flush against my ulna, so like, if I were to break my wrist and fold it like that, birds can do that. That's how they can fold their wings against their body. Velociraptor could do the same thing with that semilunate carpal in there, that half-moon shaped wrist bone. So this is a diagram that I actually made. I put this together a few years ago, so that people could bring this to their Thanksgiving dinner or their Christmas, turkey feast, or their Boxing Day budgie banquet. Whatever occasion people eat birds on. You can print out this diagram and you can look at the skeleton of that bird that you've got on your dining room table. And you can see all of these cool dinosaur features that are hand-me-downs from birds' dinosaurian origins. Oh yeah. It was a lot of fun. And this even got me an interview on Irish radio back in, was it 2022, I think? With Pat Kenny on the Pat Kenny Show. That was a lot of fun. It was good stuff. So anywho, I hope that answers your question. What's cool is that like nearly everything that makes birds special among modern animals, things that no other critter has, but birds have, if you were to go back into the Mesozoic, those features wouldn't be unique to birds anymore. Those are almost all dinosaur things. Everything from feathers to the specialized ankle joint that birds have, to the hollowness of their bones, their avian respiratory system. The list there's literally hundreds of different features that today only birds have. But each of those things came direct from their dinosaur ancestors. Those are things that theropod dinosaurs used to have, and now birds are the only surviving theropods, so only they have it. It's cool stuff. And a bicycle who's been riding around, that's Don's bike right there. Yeah. So Don is an avid athlete. He just did a triathlon a few weeks ago. And he likes to bike out to the quarry every day. So he'll keep this next to the trailer back in camp. And that way he can cruise back and forth from the site to the quarry, or from the site to camp, rather. From the quarry to camp, whenever he wants to. So, yeah. Don really enjoys bike riding, and he just throws that in the back of the pickup on the way here when we're going out to the field. And Sporky says dinosaurs had hollow bones too? Is that how some dinosaurs were able to get so huge? Actually. I'm really glad that you're asking this as a question, but yeah, that's how it goes. There's oxygen. It'll pull up a command that talks about. I get is, well, dinosaurs get so big because there was more oxygen back then, or there was less gravity, or Earth was smaller somehow or something? And no, none of that stuff is true. The biggest dinosaurs, the big sauropods, the long-necked plant-eating dinosaurs, like Mierosaurus. Get our Mierosaurus model. They didn't have some kind of like easy cheat code, like, oh, lower gravity or anything. The reason why they were able to get so much bigger than any other creature to ever walk the earth. Oh, here we go. Is, there we go. The reason why the long-necked sauropods were able to get so gargantuan, we're talking about like maybe 70, 80 tons or more, well over 100 feet long for the very biggest ones, maybe close to 140, 150 feet long. So that's what, like 40 meters? The reason they were able to get so big was a number of different things. One of them is hollow bones, hollow vertebrae, that just like birds, had air sacs and hollows in them. They had pneumatized spaces, what we call pneumatic diverticula. So when these animals would breathe, they'd take air in through that neck, but then that air would also go into air sacs and hollows in the vertebrae, big fleshy air sacs in the torso, and then into the lungs, and then throughout the rest of the body too. So these animals, despite being really, really huge, they would be probably more lightweight than you would imagine because there's a lot of air in there. So that's one of the reasons they were able to get so gargantuan and support their entire body weight on land. It's interesting, back in the early and middle 20th century, there were some paleontologists who said, well, these guys were so big, I just can't imagine an animal walking around on land being that size. It'd be too heavy. So surely they must have been in the water, you know, hanging out in swamps or in lakes. They couldn't support their body weight on land for very long. And they were completely wrong. These are animals that are super well adapted for walking around on land. And they would probably be a lot less dense, you know, so have lower mass per volume than, say, an elephant. We mammals tend to be pretty inefficient compared to these guys, where, I don't know, we're pretty dense, bulky. A dinosaur like that, much more full of air than like an equivalent sized mammal. So yeah, really neat. And again, that's one of these things that birds inherited from their dinosaur ancestors. Birds didn't evolve from long-necked sauropods like that, but the long-necked sauropods are allied with the theropods. So the two-legged meat-eating dinosaurs form a group with the long-necked plant eaters. They're what we call Saurischian dinosaurs. And both of those groups had those bones. So when birds split off from theropods, they already had a ton of advantages. They already had feathers. They already had hollow bones. They already had an elevated metabolism. They already had wishbones. They already had all these other things that birds would later use for flight. Those are just evolutionary hand-me-downs that gave them a tremendous advantage. So I was talking about this earlier with some of my crewmates. Birds are almost like the nepotism recipients of the vertebrate world. They had going for them, kind of for them to evolve flight and just be able to master the skies. Compare them to, say, bats, who evolved from mammals. Bats are a kind of mammal. Bats don't really have hollow bones, as I understand it. They don't have that avian respiratory system where oxygen is well distributed throughout their body, like where they're all full of air. They don't have that. They don't have feathers. They have to use these comparatively almost kind of clumsy membranous, like skin wings. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why you won't find bats flying over Mount Everest, but you will find birds doing that. There's certain species of, crane, I think, who do that? Bats could not do that. They couldn't survive in a super low oxygen environment like that. They would probably freeze to death. They're just not as well equipped for flight as birds are. And the reason why birds are so well equipped for flight is because they evolved from dinosaurs who already had all these super cool adaptations. So yeah. Birds are amazing, Ice Alan. And so are bats, you know. I don't want to be slagging off bats here. They're remarkable creatures and deserving of respect, admiration, and conservation. Bats are very important for ecosystems. But they're swimming against the current, so to speak. They're flying against a headwind, maybe. They didn't have all the advantages that birds did when they evolved from their theropod forebears. Oh, and Sporky says, what benefit does a high metabolism provide for flight? Ooh, excellent question. So a high metabolism, a lot of food, and you're converting that to energy to be able to fire your muscles. And if you're an animal who's going to be flapping your arms, your wings, in order to fly, having an elevated metabolism really helps with that. You can have like rapid periods of, long periods of really rapid movement that helps with things like flight. And it helps you be able to find more food to be able to power that elevated metabolism. Yeah, especially when you're like taking off from the ground and stuff like that. It's something that bats are really bad at. They're not good at taking off from the ground. That's why when you have like a bat box that you install on your house, you're supposed to put it at least 8 feet high up in the air, because bats will fly up into that, and then when they take off, they can drop, pick up some speed, and then with that extra airspeed, they can easily fly away. Having an elevated metabolism means that you could be more athletic, really. I guess that's the way to put it. And athleticism is important when you're doing strenuous activity like flapping your wings, you know? Yeah. And Indo, you're correct. There's about twice as many species of bird today than there are mammal species. Yeah. Yeah. Bats are very cool, Raven. No, this is true. But I say they're cool in different ways than birds are. But yeah, speaking like Indo was of speciosity, how many species we have of mammals versus birds. Jim makes a point here that I think is really funny and interesting. Let's see, it's not in this one. It's in the other one. I'm glad I brought both of the Utah dinosaurs charts. There we go. So the non-bird dinosaurs go extinct 66 million years ago. That number's a little old. It's now 66. And so after that we get the Cenozoic, the age of mammals. And Jim has that crossed off, age of birds. Because if you go by species count, then birds outnumber mammals 2 to 1. Said, if we want to go by species count, and you want to be cute about it, then you could say we're still in the age of fishes, because there's something like 30,000 species of teleost fish, bony fish. And then there's, I don't know how many species of beetle. So you could say we're in the age of beetles. And then the microbe people would be like, well, we have so many species of microbe that they like, and they have horizontal gene transfer, so what even is a species? But they're so numerous, it's really microbes that rule the world. So we're in the age of bacteria, you know? So I don't know. These things are just kind of like funny ways to describe certain times. They're convenient little shorthands, you know? The age of dinosaurs, and then the age of mammals afterward. Call it the age of mammals because being terrestrial vertebrates ourselves as human beings, we look around us and we go, what are the other terrestrial vertebrates around us? The big critters walking around with bones. And it's mammals. Mammals, if that's the way you're counting it, then this is the age of mammals, you know? Most of the big animals walking around are mammals. Your rhinos, your horses, your camels, your moose, your deer, big cats. The big animals walking around any environment are gonna be mammals. There's a few exceptions where, like, maybe on a certain island, a saltwater crocodile would be the biggest animal walking around. But for the most part, if there's big animals walking around, they're mammals. I guess an exception to this would be New Zealand, where back in the day, the biggest animals, your moa birds, big flightless birds. Yeah, and then people showed up and drove them into extinction. So unfortunately, now there are no moa. I shouldn't be joking. It was a tragedy. But yeah. And then you go confused again, yeah, to a cassowary, yeah. Yeah. Age of Quanta, there you go, yeah. Yeah. And Mayor Space says multiple groups can share an age. Mammals come into their own during this age, and other groups also do some cool things. Very diplomatic of you, Mayor Space. I can see why you have your current position out there in the cosmos. Yeah. Anyway. Well, I think we're gonna make like the moa and disappear here because the crew is taking down those tarps. I want to be able to help with that. I've got some gear I got to put away too. So now is time to wrap up today's stream. But it's been a fun one. Tomorrow, hopefully I'll be in the quarry doing some more digging. Today we were kind of walking around answering questions and stuff, which is fun too. But I want to find some bones, you know? So cross your fingers that I and the other crew members find some decent bones in the morning so I can show you tomorrow afternoon. I'll be streaming again at the normal time, 2 p.m. Mountain Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. Translate that to whatever time zone you happen to be in right now. And let's see who else is live on Twitch right now. Don't go away just yet. Somebody is going to be hopefully streaming some science. Here we go. Go Go to following, see who else is on for Wednesday. Excellent. Let's go right into Rhacodactylus, who's doing some Wednesday science communication. Superb. Here we go. Raid. Rayco _ Dactylus. Beautiful. Like me, Rayco is a scientist, but he studies people and why people believe weird things. As a cognitive scientist, he's interested in bizarre beliefs, be they internet rumors or urban legends or conspiracy theories or whatever. Why is it that people believe things that are weird or untrue? How can we understand this as scientists, and how can we better teach people what's true, and how do we help people determine the difference between fact and fiction, stuff like that. So he does a lot of stuff on the nature of science and philosophy of science too, so we'll see what he's up to today. But everybody, thank you for being here with me, for doing some paleontologizing this afternoon out here in the desert of eastern Utah. Hope you had a good time. I know I did. I hope you learned something. I learned some things. Cloaca is Latin, not Greek. I'll be back tomorrow, but thank you everybody for your support, whether you followed or rated in, whether you subscribed or gifted or cheered. That financial support is the reason I can do this. Or our loyal and beloved moderators, thank you for all of your help keeping this a safe and welcoming community for everybody, especially when I can't be as attentive to chat like when I'm out here. Appreciate you more than you know, mods. We'll go right into Rhacodactylus, and I hope to see everybody tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.